This stream is brought to you by. Have you ever been misunderstood? A puppy in a rage monster's body? Well, we here at Trollocs Lives Matter believe there is a human inside all of us. And
they were effectively genetically engineered war tools.
TLM, because even
nightmare fuel
needs love too. And maybe a hug. Wheel of Time, you say? I have no idea. But I do love this chair. It's great. Ooh, what's that? Hey, a pine cone. Smells delightful. Let's get that out of here. Let's go. Man, my own bones are aching. I like going for a walk. Hey, that's a birdie. Look at that up there. I like birdies. Oh, what's that over there in the forest? Oh, you know what I could really go with? A tree hug. Wonderful. Hey, look, it's a plane. Whoa, what's that say? Save wheel of crime? Stay woke? What? Brave a wheel of cake? Shave works? Suave wheat of cream? Shad walk? Starve weeping slime? Shorts are okay? Rave all the time? Shave the warts? I can't see. I can't see what it says. I don't understand. Somebody help. I'm lost. Help me, please. Karn! I know that's your favorite, Dane. Shave the cream of wheat. Yeah. Hi. My mangled weird intro. Hi. Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good. I have to ask,
Yeah.
was that airplane banner real?
Yes. Oh, so you haven't heard about the whole? Yes. So yes, it is. The Save Wheel of Time thing has just it's, in my opinion, an embarrassment. You can call it whatever you want, but the plane is real. They have now they GoFunded me like $36,000 or something like that, and then they released a spreadsheet of where they spent it, and they spent a whole bunch. They spent like thousands of dollars on this for sky banners like that. That's a real sky banner. They flew it over Culver City, so Amazon Studios lead office, in the middle of the day, so nobody can see it anyways, way up in orbit. It's like, what do you just stop.
Wow.
Donate it to charity, and then it's just like, and then there's I don't know. It is the strangest thing. There's billboards they've put up, it is such a saga. It is unreal.
This sort of thing has had success before, but not fundraising, just show of support with Firefly. Because we got Serenity, the concluding film, because of the fan demand for a conclusion to the story. But the thing is that Firefly was not, it didn't have 10 other books or not even 10, 12 other books that had to be adapted.
Well, and it was generally loved by pretty much everybody that watched it. I mean, Firefly was a pretty beloved series that got canceled. I think it pretty much got canceled because of lack of funds, wasn't it? It was it was another sci-fi show that just sci-fi couldn't afford. I mean, that's basically what happened with The Expanse too, which is another one where it got canceled and the petition went up. It's one of those. I really don't think the petition really mattered with The Expanse. It was another one of those. It was a good show. People liked it. Had good ratings, and it was a no-brainer to pick it up because it had more story to tell.
Did they include the story in the show, though?
So what ended up happening, I think. Now, I haven't read The Expanse, but
they gave it a conclusion.
They gave it a conclusion. That's correct. They gave it a conclusion. I don't think it was the book conclusion. And from what I remember and what I hear from the critics of it, and I agree, the last season was not nearly as good as the previous seasons before it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it sort of, as soon as it got into Amazon's hands, it sort of started going the wrong direction.
and it
Oh,
wasn't
really?
it wasn't nearly as good as it was on Sci-Fi, which is weird because Sci-Fi is not known for the best
Well,
the best stuff, but
yeah, sci-fi has a lot more experience with telling science fiction stories.
yeah,
Even their CW quality science fiction was better than Wheel of Time
yeah.
writing. It was
Oh yeah, oh
just
yeah,
the writing. Forget the acting and the production value. The writing itself, at least it was mostly consistent.
yeah.
And yeah,
Oh,
so
I
I
mean,
still would
yeah,
have trusted them to do a better job than Amazon at this point. But
100%. Like
there's
yeah,
definitely a branch of Amazon that is responsible for putting out good content because we did see Fallout come out from there. And I think it was like GM or they bought some studio and basically that was the group that was in charge of Fallout. That's why
well,
that turned out to
yeah.
actually be
Well, yeah, it's just I don't know. Amazon hasn't really Amazon's very hit or miss right now. It's like yeah, so Reacher, yes, Leanne, shave the warts, $2, thank you. That's your, I know that's you see Dane likes save cream of wheat and you like shave the warts. So thank you. Everybody's got their taglines now, so thank you.
Who's saying I like to keep things PG rated, not even PG-13? You obviously haven't watched my reviews of the shows that I review. I can get into it.
Yeah, man, you gotta go check it out. It's got a little bit more heated here lately, right? Because things are getting
Weird.
things are getting worse than weird. Like I don't know.
Okay, well, but we've had a few things come out that were
Yeah,
good.
it's
So,
true.
like, I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but I've only watched season 1 of Andor and I really enjoyed it. Obviously, it's
I,
got some flaws, but way more good quality content in that show than poor
and
quality.
and
Like, I
season
forgive the bad stuff. Whoop,
so it took me a minute to get like sort of.
same.
I ended up I watched it again. I ended up enjoying it more the second time around. Season 2, I actually enjoyed quite a bit of Andor. And was disappointed that that was all we were going to get. It would have been nice. It was one of those. They left a lot of story on the table with the way they told it. Because they told them that they were only getting 2 seasons instead of 5, so they had to rush the story a lot, and you could tell.
Oh, okay.
You could tell they rushed it. They still did an okay job, even though they had to rush it. But it's one of those when you watch it, you're like, wow,
They could have kept doing it.
there was so much they could have done. They basically do like what I think was mini like almost like mini arcs. So you get 4 episodes, like
Yeah.
4 episodes, and then that's BBY.
You get a climax every 3 episodes.
Right, and it sort of works, but you can also tell that they had to rush it, and there was a lot that they left behind, and they could have told a lot more, right? They could have stretched it out and fit.
I have to
there, so
appreciate though, that they had an end in sight and that they decided to end it rather than drag it on to the point that we're like, enough, had enough, done with this. I've just started the second season. I'm a couple of episodes in, and I'm like, even the cinematography in this is just so refreshing and nice. Like all the practical effects that they're using instead of the CGI, everything is so nice. Tony Gilroy is a good writer. I'm not familiar with his writing, but I saw Rogue One and I enjoyed Andor season 1. And I'm going, this guy has really good instincts when it comes to creating compelling characters and adventures for them to go on. Like everything that the main character went through in season 1, I was like, this is an interesting situation. I want to see how this character is going to handle this. Like when he gets spoilers, he ends up in an empirical prison. He's like in a prison out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, there's no escape from this place. How is he going to make this happen? And I was so invested.
The prison episode is some of the best TV. Like that's so with Andy Serkis and his speech.
Yes.
It's really, it really is. I think probably the best episodes of season 1. But yeah, it's one of those. It's sort of one of those. Yeah, it's a shame. I think they could have done at least 2 more seasons. Too bad that we lost it. But season 2 is pretty good. It was enjoyable for me. Wanted more, and it was one of those. It's sort of a shame. I don't know. It's sad.
I'd like to see. Yeah. I'd like to see what other science fiction or fantasy Tony Gilroy is capable of. Because is he just good with this character or this scenario? Because all the characters were pretty compelling in Andor. Even the ones that were relatively minor, I was still invested in what they were doing.
The craziest thing I found about Andor is if you watch Rogue One right after finishing season 2,
it feels like it works.
Cassian's a completely different character.
Oh no, really? I was sort of looking forward to
At
watching
least
that.
I felt like like they do a good job of set. So like the events lead into each other, right? So it does. But I felt like Cassian, there is a personality wise, Cassian in season 2 of Andor is different than Cassian from
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
It makes because they were planning on having those other seasons to lead there.
It's tough, right? Because you want Cassian as your main character, right? So you want him to be likable, right? And in Rogue One, he's more of the rogue sort of like, is he going to be the bad guy? Is he going to, and it was more centered around Jin than Cassian. Cassian was like sort of the roguish loose cannon. Was he going to be a bad guy and be snipe, do the greater good thing or what, blah, 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 blah. And that's not sort of, he became sort of like the everyman in Andor, which because, he's the lead, right? So
do you think it would have transitioned easier from season 1 of Andor, like who he was in season 1? Because it was when he came fully on board at the end of season 1 that I noticed this is different from what I expected to where we're going with Andor.
Yes, probably. It would probably transition because you don't get any more relationship with Bix. And you're sort of, you still don't know much about Cassian by the end of Andor season 1.
Yeah. And you're wondering what is he like? He wants to not be involved, which I'm like, that follows with Rogue One.
Philip, it's okay. We are obviously avoiding Wheel of Time right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta.
No. It's fine. I was trying. It's good to try and let people filter in too, but it doesn't matter. We didn't have really a plan. So no, it's so I think because you learn a lot more about Cassian in season 2, and just think what he does a lot of actions that I don't think the Cassian from Rogue One necessarily would have done. It seems like a different character.
Okay.
And I really do think it's because because it's
expecting more
because you need to you want to relate, you want to pull for Cassian, at least that's what they want you to be on Team Cassian, right? So
yeah.
Which you end up being, in my opinion. Like I feel like they did a good job there, and then just tonally, I think the difference is the most different. It's just very different. Like his mannerisms, he's very short. He's very curt, very almost rude.
Which he kind of was in the beginning of the show.
Yeah, a little bit. But
what Joshua said, from what I have seen, Andor starts very slow but finishes strong.
Yes.
I would say this. The first 2 episodes of Andor were hard to get through. I've watched those first 2 episodes maybe 3 or 4 times each, and then I lost interest and stopped. I should have stuck around to episode 3 because that is the Escape from the Planet episode, and that was riveting. So I would recommend getting through episode 3, and then just know that there's 3 more climaxes that happen after that episode, and each one is better than the previous. Like they're all really good.
And season 2 sort of struggles the same way. The first few episodes are definitely the worst of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see them losing people on it because it sort of doesn't even, the connective tissue isn't really great to the rest of the season. But the rest, the tail end of the season is actually very, very good.
I have confidence now. See, he's gained my trust. The writer has gained my trust at this point. After this, in season 1, after the 3rd episode, I was like, holy crap, I didn't realize it was going to get this good. Yeah. And so then I watched the next 3, I think it was 3 or 4 episodes until we got to the prison break. And I was like, holy crap, this guy has earned my trust. I will sit through any boring episode knowing that this is going to lead somewhere great. And I was not disappointed the entire season. It happened 4 times, 4 climaxes in one 12 episode season. And I'm seeing the same pattern in season 2 so far. We just had the first climax, which I won't go into if people haven't seen it. But this writer has gained my trust. I can sit through boring stuff because I know the good stuff is being built up too slowly.
The thing, when you're paid, you get paid off for paying attention too. That if you're paying attention, you get a payoff for paying attention, right? It's there's building blocks in the storytelling. 4 climaxes. Ladies, no, I'm sorry. But like it's one of those, like I will say, Andor it did what the Acolyte and many other of the new Star Wars things aren't doing. It actually got me to watch more Star Wars again. I watched season 2 of Andor. I watched Rogue One just because I was curious, and then getting to the end of Rogue One, seeing the Vader go down, go smashing through all the rebel people with his
His
lightsaber.
entrance.
I went right into, I watched A New Hope, and I watched the original trilogy right after it. I haven't wanted to do that in a very long time with Star Wars because it's damaged. Same way Wheel of Time is damaged, right? It's just damaged, right? It just everything leads to Jake Skywalker, as everybody likes to say, right? And it's like, so it got me to watch Star Wars again, which I'm thankful for, right? It was
I guess I'm
enjoyable.
better at mentally compartmentalizing because for me,
Yeah.
the first 3 films, 4, 5, and 6, are on their own. Nothing will ever take away my enjoyment of those 3 films.
Yeah.
And then I could live with or without the others, with the exception of Phantom Menace's Duel of Fates. Like that is the whole reason I like that movie, is Duel of Fates. I'm like, this is it.
Well,
This
it's
is
the
what I
only
want.
reason you need, right? I mean, it's so good. I am a prequel defender. I know I enjoy the prequels for what they are. Some George Lucas needed
I wish they were
somebody to slap him around and be like, calm down, George, like calm down. But I do enjoy the prequels for what they are. I wish they were better, just like you said. Duel of the Fates is an all-time great moment in Star Wars history and
yeah.
in cinema. I mean, come on, like that music and that scene is great. And Revenge of the Sith is I enjoy Revenge of the Sith quite a bit too, especially that fight and all that too. But I wish it was better. Just story wise and acting wise. I feel a little bad for Hayden Christensen, but
I have to I had a new respect for him after watching those scenes in which one was the one with the alien with the things coming out of her head? What was that? Come on.
Which
One where
Star
Hayden
Wars?
Christensen made a comeback. He reappears in the show. Oh, come on, guys! What's the name of the show? It's got the alien lady who's a Jedi, and she's got a white lightsaber. Ahsoka.
Oh, Ahsoka. Oh,
Yeah.
Ahsoka. Gotcha.
So
I didn't watch Ahsoka because I heard things. So I
he makes
watched
an appearance. He comes back for at least one episode in Ahsoka, and he had presence. I was surprised because I was like, I'm not into
Darth Vader. Find the presence, man.
Well,
It's so good. I'm glad.
The thing is like, I was like, I can't believe how bad the rest of this show is, that Hayden Christensen comes in and has presence, and he felt powerful and like he felt competent, and I was like, why? How? It didn't feel right. It felt wrong.
Ahsoka, I couldn't do. I've never been an Ahsoka fan. I never liked Ahsoka in Clone Wars. I never understood the love for Ahsoka personally. It was never for me. But
something happened to the portrayal of the Jedi. They were made very bland, I think.
Yeah.
And I thought Ahsoka, being this beloved character, was going to have so much dimension to her. And I watched several episodes of Ahsoka and was like, I find this character insanely boring. Yeah. I don't want to invest my time in this. And I'm sure it's just because they chose the wrong story or they didn't portray her right.
Well, they messed up Thrawn too, right? Thrawn's supposed to have a whole bunch of levels of interesting and be this genius, and they just made him weird, right? That's what I heard. I didn't watch it, to be fair. I watched reviews of it, just people talking about how Thrawn, and I guess it's season 2, was just, everybody was built up for it, was like waiting. A lot of people, it's actually sort of a parallel to Wheel of Time, right? Been waiting for a portrayal for this character that has been like wanted to be seen on screen from the EU, and then you finally get it, and it was a complete letdown, at least from what I've read and heard, right? I don't know. It's a shame. I don't know. What did you watch that? Did you watch season 2 or no?
Me?
Of Ahsoka? Was it season 2 of Ahsoka that Thrawn shows up?
Was there a season 2? I thought we've only had one.
Or was it season 1 or season 2? I don't even know. So
I thought there's only one. No, I didn't watch even a whole season because I was like, this is boring.
Yeah, well, yeah. So
character boring. I was like, I should be invested in this main character, at least in Andor. At the end of the first season, I'm invested enough in our main character. Like, you're invested in Cassian from the first moments, because he establishes himself as being likable and brave and decisive right away. He's on his way to a brothel. What's he there for? He's looking for his sister. Oh, he's looking for, in this horrible situation, he's looking for his sister here. He's obviously not supposed to be here. And then he gets into that situation with the guards and he realizes, I am in shit trouble if I don't do something. And he acts immediately. And I was like, I want to see what this character does next, because he's obviously got his head in the right place. He's got noble aspirations, I suppose you could say. Like, he wants to find a sister. That is noble. But then he'll do something like this to save his ass. And I'm like, I got to see what happens next with this character. And they just didn't pull that off with Ahsoka. She was on this like journey to like find this thing in this temple, and I just had no investment in her whatsoever.
When her delivery was so bland and like, yeah, it was space whales. Yeah. Oh God, what the space whales aren't that what discovered they travel around like the path? I don't know. Like, what a mess. What a freaking mess. I guess the point was for me anyways, was Andor finally got me to get, and it's like, if you can compartmentalize it, I think it helped me sort of to realize that it's like, hey, I do still love that part of Star Wars. I could watch the original trilogy and just stop and be like, it's okay. I can watch, the prequels and just enjoy some of the choreography and the music and what's going on, right? And wish it was a little better, but enjoy what's there, right?
And what's interesting is that Andor and Rogue One are the least Star Wars like contributors to the universe. Like, they feel like something, they are fan fiction, but it is superior. I would say superior fan fiction.
Well, especially Andor, completely off the beaten trail. Yeah,
definitely more mature storytelling.
Yep.
I would have liked to have seen a complete story. I haven't finished Andor. I know that it ends at kind of like, this is going to work as an end, but if you're saying that they've left a lot on the table, I would have loved to have seen a complete, like, if they did exactly what they wanted to do and had as much time to do exactly what they wanted to do, I would love to see that.
Yeah, I think I'd be curious to hear your take when you finish it, but that I'm glad they finished it. I'm glad they knew that they were going to stop. It wasn't like an abrupt cancellation, like, oh, you're just not getting any more. So they didn't get I'm glad they got to finish the story, but I felt like, especially when you start getting towards BB1, 1 year, BB2, BB1, that the stuff starts just ramping up so fast, and you're like, but what happened here? And oh my God, I would have loved to see that. And dang it, like, why couldn't I see this? Right? It's just like, it's like K2SO shows up at one point, and then like they go to the next iteration a year later, and him and Cassian are just buddies, and it's like, I would have loved to see that whole dynamic, but we didn't get to see any of it because they had to rush it.
I wonder if they're going to look into doing this kind of episodic storytelling in this way. So I actually haven't been able to put all of it out, but there was a problem with like Avatar: The Last Airbender, the adaptation that they did, in that they tried to tell the chapters of the story in one episode each, and it felt so rushed. But what Andor did was stretched it out over 3 episodes. Like, we're going to take care of this arc in 3 episodes, and then we're going to move on to the next 3. And that gave it such good, I know people are going to say, oh, it's really slow. When you get through the slow bits, it doesn't feel slow. You get to the end of the season and you're like, that was riveting.
You appreciate it more.
Yeah, you really appreciate it. And I feel like that could be a model for adaptations in the future, where they're trying to take something that's more episodic or has lots of little parts, break it down into these multi-episode segments, because I think that can work. The pitfall might be what you're talking about, where it's like, okay, do we have time jumps between these 3 episode arcs where we're missing stuff that the audience wants to see? I mean, obviously that can be handled really well, or it can be handled poorly. I'll have to make that judgment when I see it, but because I haven't finished season 2.
I've seen Black Sails. Black Sails was very entertaining. I enjoyed Black Sails quite a bit.
My sister likes that one. I haven't seen that one. It's funny. Pirates and Vikings. I really should be more into them, but I haven't been drawn into them yet. But again, I wasn't like, I don't think I'm going to be into Andor either, but I didn't give it enough.
Black Sails is an interesting one. It grabbed me right away, but I was sort of looking for it, right? So, and I also I found it after there was a few seasons that I could binge real quick. I feel like that sort of helped with some new stuff. I binge it, and I can binge a few before it's over, and then you're caught up, and it's like, okay, now I'm in, right? Um, Black Sails, Black Sails. If you like pirate stuff, even if you don't like pirate stuff, I think they do a good job of just making it a show for anybody who can enjoy. Personally, I think I enjoyed it.
That's a lot like the comment that Jeremy White just had, which was Star Wars without Jedi, no thanks. I don't think you should look at Andor as being a Star Wars story. It just happens to take place in the same universe and play with the same world, but it does not feel anything like Star Wars. It feels like its own thing. And the main characters, because there's a couple of them,
Yeah,
but especially one, is charismatic enough that you want to know what's going to happen next. You want to
I feel like one of the mistakes was calling it Andor, because I think you're right. It does have several main characters. Should have been something, right? Rise of the Rebellion or something, because it's about the rebellion being made. Andor is obviously a critical piece to that, but Mon Mothra gets a lot of time, and there's a lot of other people that are involved in it. And
I wouldn't put her on the poster as like this is one of the reasons you should go to see it, but definitely Cassian Andor, he's the most charismatic and unpredictable of all of them, which I think is good. Then you've got who's the guy? I can never remember the names of characters. The guy who plays the flamboyant salesman of ancient artifacts.
I don't know. Skarsgård's
him.
yeah.
He's great too. Like
Luthen.
He's one I would like put him on a cover. Like he's interesting enough. You want to know what's going to happen with him. And the girl assassin heist leader girl, she grew on me. Like I didn't think I was going to like her as much as I do, but now she's
on the spider planet. Oh no! You're talking about Mon's sister.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she's growing on me. But out of all the characters, I think Cassian definitely is he's the star of his character. I mean, is the star of the story because he does the most interesting, proactive things out of everybody.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say like that there aren't other people who are interesting in this story because they are all very well written.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it was one of those. I remember it. A lot of people were shocked because it was like, who you watched Rogue One, and Cassian is like sort of, he's not really a very liked character in Rogue One, and they announced Andor's coming out. I remember, who wants an Andor show? Like, this guy sucks, right? And it turns out to be the best Star Wars we've had in the Disney era. I mean,
best we've had since the original 3.
Yeah,
I would say this is and in many ways it does feel superior to the original 3. Again, hard to say without a complete story, but it's like you can't really compare. It's apples to oranges.
Yeah. Do I like my I like my lightsabers? Sure, I do. But there's room for
this.
There's room for these. The problem is we're not getting any of the good lightsaber stuff. So I think that's why some people are more negative, because we're not getting the actual lightsaber space battle stuff. We're getting the intrigue and the espionage show, which is great. But I haven't got a good.
Was going to turn out to be a Jedi. I was like, he's going to be a Jedi.
Yeah, I was waiting for them to jump the shark, like have some everybody's waiting for the guy from the video game to show up. I was like, please don't, please, Kale Kestis or whatever show up. And it's just like. He's from the video games, the Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. He's a Jedi guy, but
Max Andor takes place in the Star Wars universe, but it does not feel anything like anything Star Wars at all. It will feel like it's basically Game of Thrones taking place in the Star Wars universe, and it's mostly PG-13.
It's absolute like. It's about building the Death Star. That's basically what the show revolves around, is the Empire scrambling to finish this project for the Emperor so they don't all get killed by him and to keep him happy. it's about building the Death Star, which I mean that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
The overarching story is the Empire is doing whatever it can to make the Death Star for the
At
Empire.
the same time, the rebellion is in its earliest stages, going
Yep.
from little groups of people doing stuff here and there all over the galaxy to somebody deciding this needs to be a united thing,
Well,
and we all need to come together. So
well,
that's actually the plot of the first. It's the plot of the second arc. Is
Yeah.
they're going to steal a bunch of money, and that money is going to fund the rebellion.
Yep, and we did, unfortunately, and that's what I'm saying. We got our lightsaber fights show. It was called the Acolyte, and it was the biggest embarrassment ever. Almost rivals Wheel of Time.
I couldn't even finish the Acolyte. I tried so hard, and I was like, I don't even care.
It was hard to finish. Like I remember finishing it. I don't remember anything about the show. The space witches, and they threw Darth Plagueis. They just threw Darth Plagueis hurtled in a cave because it's like they wanted the everybody go, oh, Darth Plagueis. It's like, why is he? Stop it! Stop! It's just like, and then like it. All I can remember is that there's one scene towards the end where the the power of many, the blue lightsaber turns red when she goes evil.
Oh yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
It's like, what are we doing?
When you're gonna change the lore, the lack of respect for the rules of science fiction and fantasy in Hollywood right now is mind-boggling, because they don't seem to understand that that's part of the immersion. That's what creates the immersion, is that you create rules and lore and you stick to it. You don't change it. You don't say, oh, it's just fantasy, you can change anything you want. No, that's not why. Like, people would not respect that if that's what it was. But the fact that you can create a world that has lore, that has rules for their magic or their science fiction, and you're able to remain within the confines of that is impressive. If you can create a compelling story that does wild, amazing things, but it sticks within those boundaries, we will be impressed and we will be immersed, because we won't go, well, wait a minute, I thought that goes against the rules of lightsabers and how they work. Don't you have to change the crystal inside in order for the color to change? Like, they don't seem to understand that people not buy into this, but they respect that this has been the way that it is, and now they're going to change it midway through and say, actually, it just detects what kind of force power you're using. Are you using evil force or good force?
Yeah. It's, well, and you can tell the people making it just don't care. They're not. They just don't care about what's going on. They want to tell that seems to be the connective tissue between a lot of these failures of popular IPs. These shows that are given showrunners that have no interest in actually telling the story that is there for them to tell. They want to tell their own story in the universe. It's like, okay, hey, you could make a Star Wars show. You could make a Wheel of Time show. Okay, great. Well, I'm going to take that IP. I'm going to use some names, and I'm going to make it about a gay princess, and change everything about it to tell the story I want to tell. And it's like, that's not the job you were hired to do. Like, do the job you were hired to do. I don't know.
I was watching somebody's video, like essay about the marvelization of everything, like everything turning into like the Marvel extended universe, blah blah blah, like basically how that's happening to everything now, and how it just feels so bland. It feels like content. It feels corporate. It doesn't feel like it has that same heart. And one of the key differences between that and something else, like something that does stand out as good, is that there's a dedication to the story being told, and not an irreverence for things before, but a don't bring it up unless it's super relevant to what you're telling us now and what the story is now. Like the fact that they, in the sequel trilogy, so I'm talking about Ray and Kylo Ren. Sorry,
Yeah.
they're the same person. I don't care.
Yeah, not many do. Yeah, there's a Ray show. Oh, sorry.
Well, no, just huge chunks of that whole story were about how we're going to do things different from the previous trilogies. It's like, why are you doing this? Just tell your damn story. And for like, you don't have to, we're going to be really different now. We're going to be so different that we have to show you the old and show you how we're doing it different. Like, don't do that. Just tell your story, the one that you want to tell. Be dedicated to that. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of time with past characters and what they're doing and showing us how they're different now. Just leave them alone. Just tell your story. Only bring them in if it's super relevant to what you're doing. It's just sad that
they want, but they're not. I don't know. I guess it's a competency issue. Like, they have to use the characters to try and prop up their crap characters. So it's like they bring them in to prop up the. I think that's also part of the story that they want to tell. Maybe shouldn't be told in those confines. Does that make sense? It's like, and then they're scrambling and they're having to use the characters that we love to try and prop up the story that they want to tell instead of telling the story that we expect. Does that make sense?
There's a fear that, like, if we tell a story that nobody is familiar with, nobody's going to want to come and see it. And to me, I think, you're right that they attach it to some other franchise, and then they're like, okay, now this story is going to work because we've got all these characters that people will know and they're going to want to see them doing stuff. That does not bode well for the confidence in the story that they're trying to tell. But I think they believe that it's going to bring in a new audience. What it does is it brings in an audience with expectations, and then you're telling this new story and it doesn't work for them because they're like, well, wait a minute, why did you have these characters? Like, why did you have Han Solo be a bad father? Like, oh, he was a terrible husband and father. He ran out on his family. Like, what? This character who went through this whole redemption and then proved himself to be loyal and dedicated.
He immediately fucks off and abandons everybody. It's like, why did you make that choice? Like, there's a million other choices you can make. Why that one?
They didn't need to do any of that. They could have just launched off from where they were and told their own story and left what was in the past alone. There's definitely an issue with destroying characters and arcs from previous stories. We're seeing that in The Last of Us. So I'm reviewing The Last of Us game 2 right now. And one of the big problems I had with, I haven't finished the game, but from this show was I was like, this is destroying characters from the first season. And I'm like, why would you do that? And I'm like, well, we wanted to tell a different story. And I'm like, well, then you made the wrong choice by using these characters to tell this story. And that's one of the things I appreciate about Andor is it's not destroying anything because it's ignoring everything else. It's saying, okay, we're set in the same universe. So certain events are going to be, oh, we know what that is. But they're not going to make that like, oh, isn't this cool that we're doing this thing with this character or this thing because you know it from this other story. No, they're like, we are fully 100% dedicated to our own story, our own arcs. Everything else is just like, if it happens to coincide with something that the audience is already familiar with, then great, but it is not a focus ever. It's just peripheral.
But also, even though the showrunner has said straight up he's not a huge Star Wars person, he did go to lengths to educate himself about the canon, and so he knew that even though he's telling his own unique story, you could feel like the events that were going on other places during the same. You could believe that, hey, this is a encapsulated story that didn't have anything to do with what's going on over there, but you knew that was happening over there while this was happening here. Right, it didn't just completely just, the Death Star is being built, so what's happening is Luke is finding his way over on Tatooine at the same time. Right, but you know that that's happening at the same time because they have done a good job of respecting what is happening in the universe around it.
And this is how
they're not telling that story. They respected what's going on around in the universe. So
this is how back in the day episodic television was written, and for some reason they stopped doing that. They started saying, well, we'll just change it as we go when we get new writers or new showrunners or whatever, and that's fine. That's not fine. That is not fine for science fiction or fantasy fans. It's a complete misunderstanding of what we like. We're not just here for the special effects. We are here because of the excellent storytelling within the confines of a universe that is totally made up but does have rules. And that's what he did. What was his name? Tony Gilroy. the fact that he was not a Star Wars fan before and then decided I better learn this lore so I don't destroy anything and piss off the fans. That just speaks volumes for his credit to his credit as a show writer.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of person you want involved. Like if I had written a book series, like let's say we did Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
And he came on and said, I would like to do a spin-off story about other characters in this universe. I don't want to do it on this. I would trust, because of what he did with Andor, I would trust that he would research the world and the magic system and everything and make sure whatever I do, it better not interfere with what's going on elsewhere.
Right. Like if you wanted to do fucking do a Sean Chan, what's going on in Sean Chan during the events, it's like, okay. I mean, I guess that, I want the other show too because I want to know what's happening, but I could trust that he's not going to mess up anything in that because he's proven he can do it, right? But yeah, I appreciated the steps to educate yourself and be just. I think that goes a long way with fans too, especially when you can see it in the final product, right? And it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things. I don't know. It's too bad, and it's too bad it got canceled. It's too bad it just couldn't get the viewership to make it last. I don't know why exactly. I think there is
lost our trust. We had lost our trust, and also, so Tony Gilroy apparently said that Andor was only made because it was made when it was being made. If it would not continue anyway, he would never get the green light to make it today because he knew Disney would not invest as much in this. Like the thing is Disney and several other studios have blown it. They had this great opportunity to bring in a huge science fiction fantasy audience, and build a new one, which Game of Thrones did. The earlier seasons built a huge new fandom to epic fantasy. They had the chance to continue to expand it, and they blew it by believing that we're just here for dragons and sword fights.
Yeah.
But that is not, it's a complete misunderstanding of why people love science fiction and fantasy.
Yeah. Well, Amazon.
Sorry, somebody here said, imagine if Gilroy, it was Cody A. Sparks. Imagine if Gilroy did Wheel of Time instead of Rafe. The one comment I want to say about this is Tony Gilroy came up with a completely original story for Andor, and it was riveting. I wouldn't want him to adapt something because I would want him to be creating new stories. If he's able to do what he did with Andor in the Wheel of Time universe, I would say please do that. But I wouldn't want him to be restricted to adapting somebody else's work.
Yeah, find a story within the Wheel of Time that he could tell on his own. Yeah,
I would just like a competent person to adapt Wheel of Time.
Well, anybody that actually wants to tell the real story, because the story, it's still one of the it's funny because Gilroy read up on Star Wars. It's I still forever will feel bad for Josh Stardowski because I remember when the show was first announced and he was announced as Rand, he immediately read all 14 books. He immediately read them and educated himself about Rand and was ready to go. And then that happened and Rand never showed up. And it's such a huge missed opportunity, not only for him but for Amazon, because I still feel like it could have blown the viewership numbers for Game of Thrones out of the water if they told the real story. And they just,
well, it would have been a completed story because Wheel of Time has been finished. They've got a proper ending to it. Speaking of Game of Thrones, I might have trusted the two guys who did Game of Thrones,
Dan and Dave,
to do an adaptation because I have a feeling they're good at adaptation. They can Hollywoodize something and make it really epic feeling and add the cool music and the dramatic moments. But they need somebody who's writing the dialogue and writing the scenes and the progress of the characters in advance. So adaptation might just be their thing.
Yeah. Well, so the problem with that is Dan and Dave have are on record basically saying they don't like, which is, it boggles the mind. They're not very fantasy oriented people. They were more interested in the political dealings of Game of Thrones, which you can
Which
see.
happened to work for Game
Well,
of
yeah, but it was also, you're right, and they had a lot of stuff that they they cut out a lot of the mystical elements, and then it screwed them later. But but that also has to do with the fact that they ran out of script, or they ran out of book to
Story, yeah.
adapt. So there maybe, I mean, it's who, you will never know, but it's just like, at least they adhered to a big chunk of it when they had source material to go off of. That's better than we can say for Rafe, who didn't do any of the source material.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's one of those things. Well, could they have done better? I think anybody could have done better, but I think you are right. They did start off on the right foot adapting stuff, and it's one of those. They just sort of lost the plot when they ran out of books. So,
well, like, okay, so they adapted the 3-body problem, and I think they were given a lot of liberty to make an American
I
version.
personally hated the 3-body problem. So,
That's okay.
but that's just
The thing, if you taking the original and saying, okay, you have to take this and bring it to a Western audience, because if they adapted it the way, like, there's a Chinese adaptation too.
it's on Amazon, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have it. Yeah.
Most stories that are going to come out of China are not going to translate well to an American audience without there being some adjustments. Like the Western what a Western audience accepts in visual storytelling is not the same as what we would get in Eastern storytelling. This is why we get remakes of things. This is, I mean, okay, I heard Squid Game is going to get a US version. That's the thing. I'm not talking about South Korea. South Korea is its own entity when it comes to filmmaking, but it doesn't translate well. So for doing what they did, I think they did a pretty good job. I think that it could have been better. Like, I would have liked better dialogue where there's a little bit more showing instead of telling. I would have liked some of the characters to have been a little bit different, but they made some major changes in order to make it work for a Western audience. And I think those changes were good choices. So
I haven't read it. So I don't know anything about it other than I just watched it because it was Dan and Dave. And there are portions that are okay. You're right.
The less freedom that they have, I think, as far as character development and plot progression goes, I think the better. Steve only disliked 3-body problem because it sucked. Why do you feel like it sucked though? I thought
I would so to be honest, I would have to
over.
I could have gone over it for a long it's been a long time since I watched it. So I sort of memory hold it, to be honest. I know I had the whole the special thread thing with that character, her whole storyline for the most part.
Microfiber thread.
The microfiber thing and the cutting the boat thing. It, like, I would have to watch it again to actually give you my real my real thoughts on it, because a lot of it I have forgotten, to be honest. But I just found a lot of it just to be unbelievable nonsense.
It's definitely cosmic horror. The idea of 3-body problem is more about the idea that humanity is not alone, and the possibility of us coming across another race, another intelligent entity, are so tiny, and the chances that they are here for friendly purpose is even smaller. Like, and that is a statistical, like, fact.
Right.
Like, if we came across aliens, the chances that they're friendly is not good.
Yeah.
So it explores that, and explores the extremes that humanity might go to, and other things like the brain flying through space now for 1,000 years is haunting to me. The idea that there could be a consciousness that is, if heaven exists, they're not there because they are still alive. And they're in this capsule flying through space, and they might be intercepted by this hostile enemy that could do whatever the hell they want with that consciousness. Like, that's horrifying. And they presented it in very well done Hollywoodized it's, yes, Hollywoodized, but like, let's build up to this character deciding, I have nothing left to live for here anymore, and this I might as well go and do. I might as well volunteer. Like, I loved that. I thought it was so well built up, and you don't see that kind of respect for building up somebody else's work very often. I think that they did a good job with certain things in Three Body Problem, and I would love to see them being given a project where they have less freedom, but they can glamorize whatever they want. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean, that's basically what they did with Game of Thrones for the most part, right? It was
the early
follow
seasons.
this and right.
Yeah.
The early seasons, right? And then they just, but that's
Too much freedom.
well, that seems to be the problem, right? Is people are getting a hold of these projects, and instead of adhering at least somewhat to what they should be, they're given all this freedom to adapt and change everything. And it's like you need to at least do the groundwork correctly, to otherwise you're not telling the story you've set out to tell. You're telling your story, and it's just I think it would be nice if
something different in an adaptation is also bizarre to me.
What? Say it again. I'm sorry.
That the belief that people want a different story in an adaptation, like, oh, it's totally a waste of your time if you're going to adapt something and it's just going to be the same story. I'm like, no, it's not. We want to see a different medium. We just want it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the Wheel of Time, we've been waiting for that to be on the people that have read it have been waiting for years to get a visual representation. We got that Winter Dragon stuff, which was terrible, and it was like, and we're just waiting because we wanted to see a visual representation of what we read. Going no, oh well, no, people don't want to see a 1-to-1. It's like, well, yeah, I would love to see a 1-to-1. I know that sometimes a 1-to-1 may not be fully possible, but it'd be nice for you to at least try to attempt it. Because that's the story I love. That's why it's popular. That's why it sold millions and millions of copies, because it's captured the imagination of lots and lots of people. So that's why it's a successful IP, because the story that it is. So for you to say, well, people don't want to see that story anymore, it's like, well, the story was never shown. We haven't seen it yet.
And it's really ridiculous to think that a change is what is needed in order for it to be successful. Like, no, an adaptation is there to tickle the sides of the people who know the story inside and out, but then also to bring in new fans to the story. And that's not going to happen if you make changes to the story that make it less good than the original. There's a huge fan base because the original was so good. Yes. So if you're going to go in and like, we're going to change the personality of all the characters, all their personalities are being changed and their plots are being changed. Now it's not the same story. People aren't going to be. Yeah, it's a terrible idea. So
well, it is. It's like it's like who brings in the new fans? Well, the old fans, because they watch it and they go, hey, wow, this I'm loving what I'm seeing of it, and then the popularity, and then word of mouth happens, and it's what, like, it's just so boggling, because you have the example in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It's right there. You tell the story pretty darn close, and guess what? It exploded because it's a good story.
Yeah.
So, and then it's like, wow, okay, everybody discovered it. Yeah.
There. They took some liberties.
Oh, absolutely.
And you have to. So,
well, it's like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, right? I mean, the movies, they took some liberties, but overall, it's, one of, if not the greatest trilogy ever made. It's still a miracle it got made. It's the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The further and further we're going into just, movie making and show making, it is a miracle that that trilogy got made, especially in the extended edition format that it got made in. It's a miracle. It never again.
Now the only version most people want.
Yeah. That is the one to watch. The theatrical one doesn't exist. If you're not watching the extended edition and spending 4 hours in each movie, you're not watching the right movie, right? It's true. That's the one. It's just like it's just. And I still feel like Wheel of Time could have topped it. I really do. I feel that in my bones that if they just there's so much there to tell, and there's so much in those pages that, for them to draw from that it just
And there's a lot I think that you could cut from Wheel of Time.
there's
And
a ton.
yeah, and I
There,
think a
there
lot of
is a
people
ton.
agree. Yes, there are plenty of plot threads and details that don't need to be in there.
There's
And
a ton.
we would have
Like
been
it's one of the things, like, people say that one of the things they a lot, well, I shouldn't speak for everybody, but one of the big complaints I've heard about Robert Jordan is he's too descriptive of his surroundings. Well, if you're talking about the books being too wordy, well, then you know what, all the description lines that make the book longer, those disappear because you're using that as visuals for the
Yeah.
surrounding. So although all those added words are gone, there's plenty of room in later books to that are slower, frankly, to lop off stuff. There's whole nations of people you can get rid of that
I think
don't really need to be
most Wheel of Time fans feel exactly that way as well. I don't think I've come across a single Wheel of Time person who hasn't said there are segments that are really boring and you don't really need them. They all agree. Like, this is one of those cases where yes, you can cut a ton and you'd probably be just fine.
Well, it's one of the things that's the most infuriating about this, about just the gaslighting going on with it, whenever they start book fans, it's like, well, aren't you a book fan too? But whatever. It's like I thought you were a book fan too, so okay. But I have not. I have never. I don't think I've talked to a single person while doing this that has ever said they expected the Wheel of Time to be a 1-to-1 adaptation.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever said that, and it's one of the first things that's thrown around.
Is like, oh, you wanted a 1-to-1.
I wanted an attempt at telling some of.
I wanted something done faithfully that honors the source material, and honoring the source material does not necessarily mean you follow it word for word or scene by scene or even arc by arc. You can literally take somebody's arc and say, you know what, this moment in their story is so similar to this one. Could we take the things that are earned in this one and somehow smush them together into like one thing? And we would have been like, yes, this works.
Yeah, absolutely. There are places and there are characters where if you want to add something of your own, you can. Like the low gain. I still think the low gain portion of season 1 is probably. I haven't watched season 1 in a while, but the low gain stuff is like the cold opening of low gain and
I liked it.
It's probably the best part of season 1.
Yeah,
it's one of those.
I seem to remember that standing out a lot and going
that could have earlier. So there's stuff you can add there because there's not a lot of backstory in low gain in the book. So if you want to add your stuff into some low gain backstory here and there, fine. Because there's still room for that with all the stuff you could have got rid of. Like, nobody ever wanted a 1-to-1. We just wanted respect the source material, tell the actual story. We're at the point where we got 3 seasons and we never started.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the biggest thing for me. We have not told the Eye of the World yet.
It does seem to me that they really wanted to do Moraine's story and that was the main goal, and everything else was just in the periphery. Like
Rafe come right out and said that. He said
should have done the story of Moraine, like where it all takes place during I know I've said this a million times before, but I don't know why it wasn't pitched if that's what they wanted to do. How about we do the Wheel of Time, but this is Moraine's story, and we're going to focus on just her arc, and everything else that happens elsewhere is on the sides. It's not the focus of the story. We're just focusing on her and her big sacrifice, which they didn't even do.
No, like
and
they didn't even have the balls to do that.
Satisfyingly, they could have done her whole arc within seasons, and I would have been like, "Oh, dang!" Like,
I remember you
know
saying
if it's gonna work out,
right? So I think you said that last time we talked, and it's like I can see it. So they could have done that, and it could have been okay. I would have probably been disappointed in my heart because I was looking for the other stuff. I want to see the other stuff too. But if they did that well enough, maybe there's the potential that we go, okay, well, people really are liking this.
Maybe
Let's
we should
actually
adapt the book.
let's adapt the books. You know,
Yeah.
the Moraine story caught on. Let's adapt the books now because we're on to something here, right? Like proof of concept sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Or even like if you're so attached to Moraine, tell New Spring or make up what's going on before, you know, and events leading into New Spring, her makeup, like her development in the tower, her being a novice and all that stuff. Like if you must do that, do something that hasn't actually been written, that you're not destroying something and lying about it. But like it's just it's the wildest. It's so weird. It's so weird. And thank you, Sam. $2. Fuck this show, man. It's my favorite character. It's like your tagline at this point. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. It's baffling because the people that are fighting so hard to keep this show going are supposedly some of the biggest book fans, and I don't understand how you can defend this so rigidly and like just ignore the fact that they never told any of the Wheel of Time story.
So I'm noticing in some of the comments, people are going like, why would you make the story about Moraine? Look, you can make a story about anybody and it can be compelling and moving. And I don't think that it's an uncompelling story to be like, what if we're coming across this woman who has this mission and it's her life's goal to guide the Messiah into saving the world, right? But then at the end, she realizes the only way he is going to succeed is if I don't even live to see the final battle. Like that would be such a wonderful, difficult decision for her to make, but then to see her go through with it at the end, it's this story of self-sacrifice. Like her whole ambition and goal is to do this thing. We see her really struggling for it and then realizing I'm making things worse by trying to force things to happen. And then she has to sacrifice herself so that he can go on. That's a great story. And if you do it right, you can focus on this character and make that the story. It's like what we were just talking about with freaking Andor.
Yeah, well, yeah. So don't get it twisted, guys. She's not saying that.
I'm not saying that what the show did was good.
Yeah. So what's she's saying? And if I'm articulating this wrong, let me know. It's if the point of the whole thing was they were so in love with telling Moraine's story instead of telling the Wheel of Time story, which it's baffling to me that that's what you're at. But if you're going to do that, tell Moraine's story in the Wheel of Time. It's just, you know, you're making up some stuff in the background that you didn't see throughout the books. So you have Rand and stuff maybe off of, you know, doing his thing, but you're in Moraine's head while she's doing things in the world.
And I wouldn't have trusted these guys to write Moraine properly. Like she was not the same woman in the books. This is not the same character. So it would have been a disaster if it was in these people's hands anyway. But it could be done and be really good. And it would have been interesting to see a competent writer do that.
It would be a unique way to tell the story. It would be a unique way to tell it, but it would be I think it would be difficult but possible.
Yeah. It could be done in one season.
And I would give that a chance if you're just showing the events of the Wheel of Time from Moraine's point of view exclusively.
Yeah.
I think you can do that. I think it's hard. It wouldn't be the story I'd want to tell, but if that captures somebody's imagination and they can pull it off, there could be a show there. Because more at least up until a certain book, but it could happen. Like, but it takes a lot more skill and writing expertise and than the people that are involved in the show. And it's one of those. I think it's one of those. Also, you're hamstringing yourself a little bit doing that, but you can't. You could do it, I think, is the point if you chose to. What they chose to do instead was they fell in love with Moraine. They made up a bunch of stuff about there being queer undertones and her being the main character, and they decided to throw everything in the dumpster.
Well, they also changed her personality, and that was a bad choice from the beginning, because if you change the personality of a character, they will not logically do the same things in the story when confronted with the same situation. So they had to change situations so that some of her actions could make sense. And there was so much wrong with the Wheel of Time. There's no way that any one thing, any one change could fix it. It would take numerous fixes. You're just gonna have to start from scratch and rewrite everything. That's the only way it would work. But yeah,
What
I'm not saying that these people should have just take everything from Rand's and Egwene's and Perrin's and Matt's story out and just focus on Moraine stuff. No, I'm saying like do an actual faithful adaptation of Moraine where it's really her journey, and then maybe dive deeper into the struggles that she went through. Because just from what I get in the books, she went through a lot that we were never allowed to see because it was happening to her when we were in other people's perspectives.
Yeah, well, and I think I I agree. And I see some of you guys in chat. I think I would agree. You could tell that story. I would rather have like the actual the story adaptation tell, and then when it's a hit, come back and do that rather than doing it the other way around. I think you could do that almost like a spin-off series, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't get any of that. We got nothing. We got it's one of those
well, okay, so what Max is saying here, that's the kind of thing you do 20 years after the main Wheel of Time show becomes a blockbuster hit, or it's the kind of thing you do to see if people are even interested in this universe. So it's kind of like, which one do you do? I like the idea of them going, you know what, this is a cool world, but I'm not sure how people would really resonate with this story. And so you tell the story of this woman, which is not the complete story of the Wheel of Time. And then they got a taste of what it is. Like, now, do you want to know more about what happened with those characters she was helping? We go back and we tell their whole big story. Because if you do it the other way around, the problem with that is we already know how it ends for her. We don't go on that journey with her like it's the first time that we're seeing it. And this does give you that opportunity.
Yeah.
All the way to the end of her story.
Yeah, no. So I think there would have been, I think, and that's where you get a little bit more freedom. But I don't know. I think they just from the get, they were never interested, right? I mean,
oh yeah, they weren't interested in telling even the Wheel of Time story. I'm sorry. I think they liked what they saw, but then they wanted a fan fiction.
Well, they saw powerful women and then made it up from there, right? I mean, it's one of those that I think that was the biggest thing that irked me about the whole deal is the diversity, the strong women. They're already baked into the story, and you just couldn't leave well enough alone. You had to just change all of it. It's all baked. Like there's a lot of powerful women characters. There's a lot of there's diversity all over the place, but we decided to just not go with what's on the page because we know better, right? And
I think that on top of a total lack of understanding in what makes a character likable is a huge problem. It's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Because Moraine is completely unlikable.
Yeah.
It's wild how unlikable she is. It's sort of like trying to watch Ironheart. I don't want to go down that hole, but yeah, I don't know that there's a single likable character in the whole series.
No, there isn't. Not even Rand.
Rand is just a limp paper bag. It stands in the background.
Even Elaine sort of lost it at the end for me, only because she wasn't acting like herself so much. I was like, oh, whatever, I don't care.
She was busy.
She was probably the most likable. She was the most likable.
Errol, yes, Errol. I forgot about our boy Errol in the insane asylum. Yes, yes, the Uber swordsman.
I actually, you know what? I liked. Okay, so Tripp is saying Lanfear is likable. She was likable as a villain, but as far as like characters that I can root for, besides the whole competence issue, just like, oh, this is a character who's morally in the right and I want them to win. Elaine was the closest because she was usually right about the stuff that she was talking about, especially in season 2, whenever she was hanging out with what's her face, Nynaeve. I was like, yes, somebody putting Nynaeve in her place.
Yeah, there were portions. Yeah.
Season 3, she just became kind of obnoxious. I mean, the whole where was the town that they went to that was disgusting?
Tanchico, the
Tanchico.
pirate, like
Just
the
about
pirate
everything
town.
that happened in Tanchico. Like, I
What-
could have really liked her, like, getting into, like, learning her part. Like, okay, I'm going to play this role. And I'm like, this will be fun. And they didn't really do anything important with that at all. I think that whole thing was about
It was
her
a
getting to go and sing karaoke. I was
yeah, it
like,
was it. That was totally it.
the whole reason they did
Well,
any of this was so she could have that scene. And I was
well,
like,
and it's crazy because we got there, she sang her song and shook her tatas, and then they're like, "Oh, we probably need to give her something to do in the final episode of the season. What are we gonna have Elaine do?" They
run
didn't
away
know what to do with her.
rod
Like,
lady.
oh, we're gonna she's like literally we're gonna walk down the hallway, and oh, she's got the balefire thing. She's gonna shoot it like a shotgun. Boom! But it's like this is what you've done with like you didn't have anything to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Masima. I'm sorry, Masima is he
Which
was
one
the
is
only
that?
he was the only competent swordsman, and he disappeared. He was only in season 2. They
Oh
we-
wait, he was the guy who I played the Indiana Jones theme for, I think. Like, he was
Yeah,
good. He was like a good swordsman.
he's
Okay.
a good swordsman. He's from Last Kingdom.
Okay, yeah.
I always
He
laugh
stood out.
because because he was so
every-
much
I
better
know.
than everybody else. It's funny because obviously Masima is the prophet of the dragon.
I like
but
this comment. Masima would have made a great land. Probably.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%, 100%. It's funny because obviously Masima is the prophet of the dragon, but it's like he stands out. You can tell he's competent. He's a better actor. He's just better all the way around the board. And he disappears, and it's notable when he disappears. And it's you get the fight scenes, and you
Before
can
the
see
finale of season 2.
he just disappears,
He's
and
like
then he shows back up. He's like, "Oh, hey, I'm back." It's like, what? And then I laugh because he doesn't show up in season 3, so everybody's laughing, going, "He must be wandering around Falme lost, right?" And it's like, no, don't worry about it. He actually wandered onto White Lotus, and he's busy hooking up with old ladies in the White Lotus Hotel on HBO.
Oh
So
my gosh.
Mason was just fine. he escaped Wheel of Time. It's like, but yeah, like so. Yeah, you're right. Mason would be my most enjoyable character. But
Did he have any lines? No.
I don't know. Actually,
Had any lines?
maybe one or
He just
two.
had stage
maybe?
presence. That's all he had.
Yeah, gosh. Now that you say that, I don't know that he did have any lines.
Oh, I liked
That's
Uno.
wild. I don't know. Uno he was okay. If we're on a scale, he's a lot better than most everybody else. Yes. Compared to the rest of the cast, way better.
It's
You're
nice
not
to
wrong.
have variety in the characters. Like, I always think to, like, okay, when you look at ensemble shows like Criminal Minds, Star Trek, some of the others that I can't think of right now, but those are the two that keep popping up in my head every time I bring this up. They have very different character personalities, and they're like, okay, we're going to have these two working together in this one. And okay, we're going to have these three have different ideas about how to handle this situation. That's all interesting stuff. We like to see how people with different personalities handle situations. But when you have a bunch of people with essentially the same personality, and then you're like, you know what, they're going to have conflict, it feels contrived. It feels stupid. And it's so much more interesting to have some color in your personalities there.
Well, and also what I did
Diversity in personalities.
I appreciate it because the actor really did. I remember watching some of the interviews. He was really excited to play Uno, and he did a lot of research. It's another one of those things. He did a lot of research. He read everything. He wrote down lines that he was looking forward to doing, and then he found out he was dying. So he said he literally threw him in the trash. And it's like,
oh, poor guy.
The dude pulled a lot of, like, he showed up to like every convention he could trying to get back on the show, but so I felt bad. It's another one of those, I felt bad for the actor because he was all in, right? He really was interested in doing the role justice, and I don't think he really got a chance either. It was just so
well, good for him for at least surviving to the end of season 2. Like, they brought him back to life for season 2.
Exactly.
And let him have a
halfway, right? Well, no, he was a
because he
was a hero, yeah.
And then he dies with the Sean. They They
He
bring
came
him back
to life twice. Yeah.
Yeah. He was resurrected
Jeremy
twice.
resurrected twice. Oh my god. Him and Loyal are having a competition. Jeremy, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. David P, E-Man, Abba, Grumpy, and Rylan are now Dragonsword. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Jeremy. Uno died twice. How many people died twice? At least
Uh,
3.
Well, if you count Ingtar, because he was definitely supposed to be that one dude who died in season 1, and then they're like, actually, we'll say his name was not Ingtar, it was something else.
Exactly.
And then they brought in Ingtar.
It's exactly right. No, it's so funny how obvious it is that actor was supposed to be Ingtar. Yep.
Eve died and came back. Wow, you could do a whole episode, a whole video for YouTube just on the characters that died and were resurrected.
It's crazy. Well, and then like the ones that should have died, and then just the story just ignores that they got stabbed in the chest.
Yeah, like okay, what's her face? Alana.
Oh God, yeah, Alana
and then
so how
Red
we
Lady,
didn't get to talk about Leandrin. We didn't get to talk about the Battle of the Two Rivers because I actually really hate it. There's a lot. I should say a lot. There have been several people. Like obviously, I think the season 3 over. It seems to be that everybody agrees that episode 4 with the Rodion parts with Rand was the best. Mm-hmm. The best the show had to offer. Period.
Isolated from all the other episodes.
Yep.
Think about it. Yep. It was not contingent on things that had happened before or things that happened after. It was just it was basically a vignette of little vignettes.
Well, it was like right. It was like it wasn't even the whole episode. It was like 15-30 minutes of just Rand, Josh being able to play Rand and actually be Rand, right? Which it was like holy crap. I remember I watched it with Pips and it was just like, what is this? It's my God, I actually feel something. I feel something right now. What is happening, right? And then it's like, but of course the episode starts with Avienda embarrassing Rand and then fighting Land to a stalemate, and it's just like it's one of those. It's just sort of funny that it's like episode 4 is clearly the winner in the episode department, but it's only part of it. But I was talking to I forgot. I've heard some mixed reactions to the Battle of the Two Rivers. I absolutely loathed it because when you actually there are so many just errors in geography and timing and dead people and it's just the battle strategy and the fact that Tammy isn't there. I don't think we got a chance to talk about it.
No, there was so much wrong with just the battle strategy and how the battle even played out in that.
Yeah.
There was literally only one moment in that episode that I recall enjoying, and that was Perrin axing his way through bad guys, but they're not fully dead. And then you have, what's her name again?
Fail
cleaning up behind him. I was like, I
feel like I remember listening to you.
Like I could believe that he is plowing through and they don't necessarily die because he's just delivering a very serious blow on them and just getting through as many as they can. And she's behind making sure they are dead. I was like, this is believable. I could see these two in battle and I would like to see them in battle in exactly this way. And that was it.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like when you were on with Alan on Technically Mexican when you were watching it, I feel like I remember you saying that, and I think I agree with it, but it's just like it's just so funny that they don't expect you to, you have this random Aes Sedai that you pick out of the village, to fridge clearly. Who gets killed? That gets a spear right through her chest, the same way that that Alana gets a spear right through her chest. She dies instantly. Alana is fine with not having a heart.
What I don't get is what's his face from the White Cloaks? Like what Dave? The hell? Like how did he know that she was there? How did he know she was in that room? Like how did he know to go? Like that to me?
Evan
I was like,
Valda?
Yes.
Well, yeah, he's just wandering around during the Trolloc invasion. Well, not the Trolloc invasion. I have to keep correcting
The
myself.
war. He is
there
in
was
the battle, and he just goes like, "I'm gonna go check this back room to see if there's any Aes Sedai
he's
in
just
there."
wandering around. He's like, "Oh, hey, I need a cold drink. Oh, hey, it's an Aes Sedai sitting here."
I did
It's
not like
like,
the portrayal of Dane Bornhall being like this drunkard. Like I was like, what? To
yeah,
me, there were so many different ways that you could portray that he's upset that his father is dead, and they chose the cheapest route
yeah.
that they could
Oh, yeah.
possibly like. But it just goes to show they didn't care about that arc at all. They cared more
Yeah.
about Alana and her stuff than they did about anything else. And I
Well,
was like, she's not even like important to the story at this point. Why are you doing this?
Well, and there's so many, like, it's crazy. Like that's the video I should write this down. That's the video I wanted to make and I forgot to make, to be honest. Is there is quite a few things stolen from Helm's Deep
Oh yeah,
in
I
the
mean,
Battle of Two Rivers.
everybody copies Helm's Deep. Even The Last of Us copies Helm's Deep.
But it's like word for like there's the moment where Perrin stops and asks the kid, he's like, is your like he asks him to check out his sword, like Aragon does with Hammer.
It's a
Checks
good
his sword, is
sword.
like, this is a good sword.
Yes.
It's like what? And then you have the White Cloaks who aren't even supposed to be there, blowing the horn like the
Yeah.
elves do in the movie at least, to come save the day. And it's like,
Look, I don't mind if the events in a battle are going to play out and have similarities, but it's just one too many
it's one
similarities.
and it's 1-to-1. It's like, what the frick? Like, come
Yeah.
on.
It
And-
was there's so
Well-
many like, they didn't know what to do, and they're like, we
Yeah.
know what? What's another fantasy that people really like? Helm's Deep and their
Yeah.
big battle. Let's just do that. The
Yeah,
fantasy
exactly.
fans will love it. They won't care. They'll just be like, oh yeah, it's just like Helm's Deep.
Yeah, well, and it's just like the whole thing. It's like, you're pulled out of it right away because you're in this. Like Nathan pointed it out when we were doing the fight autopsy stuff. The surrounding when you pan out to a wide shot, it's a different place that they're showing on the wide shot than when they're in tight. So there's only one path in the Two Rivers. It is just on mountainsides, but then you
Yep.
pan out and the mountains have disappeared.
Yeah,
And they built battle fortifications, but Trollocs and people can't climb hills to go around the fortifications. It's like what is happening?
indicates to me a lack of leadership in the production.
Yeah.
Because that there should have been somebody saying, no, we did not design the set of Two Rivers to look like this, and we did not write the battle to play out in a way that makes this make sense. Like visual effects team, you got to paint something different, or set, we got to do something different, or you know what, writers, like you got to keep everybody on the same page. And this to me just shows that there was no unification in this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have heard it before that, there's the story you write, the story you film, and then there's a story that gets edited. Like they're three different things. Like, but they shouldn't be so incongruous by the time you get to the end. And to me, it just shows that means they had too many things going on in these earlier stages that were not lining up. They did not have all of their departments on board. They weren't all on the same page. Like something in this day and age where communication is so immediate and so easy, you couldn't Zoom call into a department like, hey, we have a question about the layout of the Two Rivers for this final battle. Can we talk to somebody, please? Does it have to look like this?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
what do you
it's well, and it's like it's very clear, at least to because we've been following, at least to me, that the battle was just. It's crazy to me that there were more people than Trollocs, and not a single fade in the whole season.
Yeah, the lacking fades was weird. I thought that they were trying to indicate that there were going to be some that come in through the gates and or the ways, and I was like, okay, I guess I can kind of give them that, but where did their budget go? It just went to that opening fight.
Yes.
That's it, I guess.
I don't know. It's wild because it's like that was the first thing that popped into my head when we see all these people just dressed in rags running next to Trollocs, which the Trollocs would just be eating them, by the way, without a fade to control them. But just, I digress. I forgot Trollocs just want friends. I forgot about that in season 2. They're just looking for buddies.
It's just so sad.
It's just so sad. They just want to have friends. They're just hungry. It's like, okay.
I don't understand this aversion to just having like gremlin bad guys. Why? Like that
Yeah.
is a staple in fantasy that there are minions.
Yeah, it's just they're evil. They're literally just constructs of evil.
They're
They've been
beasts that have been ruined, and you have to kill them. That's the only thing you
yes.
can do with them. You can't tame them and make it unless you want your whole story to be about the one Trolloc that got tamed. That's a totally different story.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are pawns in the war of good versus evil. They copied Lord of the Rings, Witcher, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and more. I can't stress enough how amateur these writers and showrunners are. It does seem like when they run out of ideas, their default is to find something that someone else has done before and just copy that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. All the Dark Friends are dead. Yeah. No. It's like, oh gosh. So yeah. It's just, and then it just some of the choices, right? So you touched on it earlier, right? Well, I want. Were you surprised that they chose the spoilers real quick for anybody that's in the middle of reading the books? So just
Go
you're,
ahead.
you know, were you surprised that they didn't kill Moraine, or well, they didn't put her through the doorway,
Yes.
or they didn't kill? I guess they could put her
Was
through
it-
the doorway, but they didn't kill her or something.
To me, it was obvious from the writing that that's what they were leading to. And then for them to not do it, I was like, well, then what was the point of all the writing done up to this point?
Right.
It's supposed to be about her making this big sacrifice so that Lanfear doesn't screw up Rand because that's what she's been doing all this time.
Because
And
she's
then in
so
the
good in
end-
the sack. He's bragging to the. It's like, come on, can we stop, please?
It's
But
just bizarre that because that's an example that I think of them going, you know what, we want to surprise the readers. We want the fans of the book to be surprised when they get to this scene. And, well, we were surprised.
Yeah.
And the thing is that you sacrificed good buildup for surprise.
Yeah, well, it's
You ruined. There is no buildup. There was no buildup to what happened. They get away.
well, because I remember leading up to it, like I was on the fence, right? Because I was just like, I don't think they're gonna do it, right? It's like what everybody was saying made sense, right? What you just said made sense. It's like, yeah, it seems like they're going to kill her, which is amazing to me, and it's sort of like, if they're killing her, it sort of shows that they're it was like there were some people like, I hope they kill her because maybe then we can actually get to some story about Rand. It's like, oh yeah, okay, you got a point there. And she had moved at that point out of Prague and all that. So it's like a lot of people were doing a lot of research and putting pieces together, going, well, they're probably actually going to do it because there are things indicating that she's not going to be on the show anymore. And then I couldn't believe they beheaded Suan and left Lanfear and Moraine on the table.
First, they destroyed. I like of all the characters. Like she's the one who's supposed to still be alive.
Yes.
Like they did all of this destruction to Suan's character and then beheaded her at the end. And to me, that's not even surprising then. I'm like, okay, so you're going to show that she's completely incompetent. She doesn't know how to run her tower. She's losing control, and then they behead her. Okay. So I can't even, there's not even anything to say about this. It's just depressing and stupid. And then the fact that she's supposed to still be alive, like she clearly has a more significant role in the continuation of the story and what the Aes Sedai do who leave the tower because of all this shenanigans. What are they going to do now? They're just going to put Nynaeve in charge of them. At least that's what their plan, I think, was. Is we're going to move.
So?
We're going to move Nynaeve from here over to there. And for some reason, they'll be like, "You should be in charge."
Maybe like it's because it's like you start thinking about if they got a season 4, what the hell would happen? Because Egwene is still in a relationship with Rand, it seems like. So it seems like they're still gonna be a couple. And it's like, and Nynaeve is over.
Broke it off. I think he finally at the end, because he's like, I've never been good enough for you, even though I'm literally the dragon reborn. I think he finally ended it. Thank God.
Yeah, I guess, but it was like, but like, yeah, I mean, I sort of, right, but I felt like it wasn't even like she was still sort of. He's still like she's the one that she gets the last line of the season. Rand cut it out, and he's like, okay, it's like okay, so it's like so is she, like how do you deal with her and Nynaeve literally like her arc is failing and putting Rand in danger, and she smiles and she's happy at the end because she parted the Red Sea. And it's like, do you guys understand? Like the Nynaeve stuff is so weird, right? She gets yeeted into the
I
water.
think the writers liked Nynaeve. They made her
It's
as she's a tough character to enjoy in the books, but they made her worse in the show. And then
so
when I think they realized they were making her too unlikable, they're like, "Well, let's just have her like she has no clue what she's doing," and she's like, I
yeah,
don't know what I'm doing all the time." I was like, "This is not the way you save the character."
no. Well, it's like, and I agree with you to a point, but there is a point where Nynaeve makes a. I don't know exactly
I
the.
haven't gotten
I
there
would.
yet.
There's a point where Nynaeve, for me, anyways, for speaking for myself, where it clicks and she makes a change. Um, or it's more, I think, an action than a personality change, but because I think it's more because she is one of the few that is basically ride or die for Rand all the way through, no matter what, and she actually is. Like she says she will be, and she is actually on his side, come hell or high water. Um, so,
It's funny, they
but
kind of gave her that relationship with Matt in the show instead of
yeah, exactly, yeah, and it's just like, and like the whole Tanchico storyline is a mess in the show because it's like she doesn't fight Mogideon, so we don't get the Mogideon Nynaeve fight, which is a huge
yeah,
is
that
a
was a fun
huge
fight.
yeah.
I completely forgot about that.
Everybody was waiting for it, and they didn't do it. She gets yeeted into the water by Leandrin, who is now, oh, I am going to be a Forsaken. So it's like, okay, so are we? Does that mean Mazrim Tame's not going to show up? I don't know, but it's like you start thinking about where they're going with some of this stuff. It's just like I can't even figure it out.
Gadfly says here, my theory is that they hated the actress after she made that public statement about stopping reading the books because the characters were too different for her to get inspiration from.
Well, that's possible. I wonder if there was a
Seems
shift.
possible to
That'd
me.
be because it was one of those things that a lot of us keyed on. She publicly said she was reading along book by book, and she had to stop because the characters were so different. She was getting confused,
Yeah.
and it's like, youch.
To have your own cast saying that. I really feel for a lot of the people who are involved in these projects, and you know that they really want to do the faithful adaptation. They're really invested in it. They love it. And then something like this is what's turned out.
Yeah.
Because they must have been so excited getting involved and or been promised so much, feeling like, okay, we're going to be part of this. It's going to be great. We're going to be able to be super proud of what we're doing. Or, hey, maybe it was a rough start, but we're going to, we're jumping in to season 2 and we're going to make it better. And to just one after another, each episode is more disappointing than the previous. It must be so hard for those people. And that there's got to be a lot of them.
Oh, I would agree. I think there's probably quite a few of them that didn't that they have nothing. There's nothing else to do but to soldier on. It's their job, right? And they have to do the best they can to produce the best show they can. They have no control over any of it. They just they're given their job and they have to perform, right?
That's why,
And
like, a lot of people say, like, "Oh, I hated the actors," and I'm going, I have no idea. I think they all did the best that they could with what they were given.
I think they were all given nothing to work with. I think
Yeah.
that's a big part of the problem. And they fell in love with.
How do you pee on a tree and have a conversation with somebody? Like, how do you say all of the horrible, obnoxious things that they had Nynaeve doing, or even Moraine? Like, how do you do these things and come across as likable? They're not even the same. Yeah,
it's wild, right? And it's just like
I still don't know how involved Rosamund Pike was in the writing, She might have been involved as a producer, but that could just mean that she offered to play the role at a discount. That is, when somebody is in as an executive producer, a producer, that's what it could mean. They
Yeah.
might have had nothing to do with the writing, the editing, the directing, anything. And they just said, I will do this for you for cheap because I just want to be part of this project.
Well, it's funny you say that because if she did it for cheap, where'd the money go?
All those costumes and sets and whatnot.
Baffling. It's just, yeah.
You know what? It's a huge cast, and there are lots of sets. Even though, like, season 1, we saw like a naked tower, like the White Tower had nothing in it, but they've filled things out. And like season 3 actually had a populated what's the name of the town that the White Tower's in? I always forget.
Tarvalon.
Tarvalon. That town actually looked full to me this time. And
A little
so
bit better.
that's where some of the money goes. And then you've got people behind the camera, you've got people behind the special effects, you've got people behind the writers, you've got people pushing advertising. Like, that's where the money goes. They definitely had a project they were hoping would be a lot bigger than it was.
Yeah. It's one of those things, like we've talked about it quite a bit. I still think that the decision to show Weaves is probably one of the things that could have saved them a lot of money if they were just more creative, and didn't, sort of took the, we as non-channelers aren't supposed to be able to see Weaves anyway, so don't waste all the time with all the little stringy things that you did and all the money you spent on that CGI.
Yeah.
Maybe show it once or twice from a channeler's perspective so you see what they're thinking, but then just decide to save the money and show the results of it.
It's the light in the channeling that is the expensive part, because you have to do the light, but then also objects that are being illuminated by the light of the threads.
Yeah.
So what you could have done is, like, remember when Lanfear was straddling Rand and like she's like, I'm a monster too, and you saw like clear waves. They could have done that with all the channeling to indicate for us, the audience, there's channeling happening here, and like we can see this but nobody else can see it. Like, that would be like establishing for the audience, you can see this but the characters cannot. And that would have been fine, and you don't have to deal with how does this affect the lighting on the people in the same room that this is happening in, because you don't have to. It's literally just painting on top of what's already there.
Yeah.
That would have been a cheap way to do it. There's so many different things they could have done to be cheaper, and the money was spent in the wrong places. They should have hired more competent writers to come in and do this. That was the first thing.
Showrunner down, right?
Dialogue was trash. It was.
That's another one of the hardest parts, right? The dialogue was trash, and the dialogue's there for you. It's literally just yank dialogue from the books and you're fine. Like, but we had to make up, like, yeah, it's infuriating. It's like, that's also one of the things is just sort of bang your head against the table. It's not even like, if you were to completely just remove the Wheel of Time name from it and just say it's generic fantasy show, it wouldn't even pass the muster from that. As a fantasy show, the show still doesn't make any sense. Just as not a Wheel of Time, just a generic fantasy show. It doesn't even pass any story, dialogue, nothing. It's still just bad. And I don't know.
One of the easiest. I would love to be with a writing team that puts together like a good adaptation of something that is expanded like that, like something that's so big, like the Wheel of Time, where it has to have a lot of cuts. Because I have some theories about how it could be done well.
Yeah.
And one of them is just like, first of all, write the script in its entirety, an unabridged script. Then what you do is you get several layers of editors to go through and like, you don't need this, you don't need this, you don't need this. And then you put it together and you go, okay, let's look at this.
Yep.
Does this flow well? No, it does not in this part. Okay, this is where the creativity comes in. And we say, how can we make this flow into this? Well, what did we cut out of there? This. Is there any way to kind of do a similar thing? No, we got to give you something, do something totally original. Fine. Then we step in and do that. Like, I feel like that there's a process in there somewhere that could be documented and taught. This is how you do it, and then spread it around. Let people do, like, because the creative, I enjoy it when people get creative with the things that they add to adaptation. So I don't know if you were ever a fan of How to Train Your Dragon,
Yeah.
but I really enjoyed the live action adaptation. And they
So
did not.
I haven't seen it yet.
You can wait until it comes out. I mean, I loved it because the flying scenes were kind of thrilling.
So I want to see it because I really love I really love the original.
So the more distance you have from the original, so that you're not mentally playing the original in your head while you're watching the new one, the better. Because the only negative experience I had from watching the live action was that I was always playing the original in my head and going, the timing was slightly off on this line. Ooh, the delivery was different here. Ooh, they staged this slightly differently, which is not a good feeling.
Right.
But when I came out of it at the end, I was like, that was actually a really good adaptation. Like they kept almost everything exactly the same, and they didn't add anything new. They just expanded on the things that were already there. Like all the scenes between Stoic and Hiccup were the same, but then they would like add a few more lines or add a little bit more time or blocking and things like that. And I was like, this is what we want. Okay, no, wait, actually there were a couple things that were new, but they were fine. They were like honoring the source material. So I was okay with all of this stuff.
Well, it's one of those things like you can add here and there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got
and that was what I appreciated from that was I was like, they added stuff, but it wasn't like, hey, what if we completely change this character and do this thing with them and stick that in there? Like they didn't do that. They just said what's already there and how could we stretch that out a bit, because you can't run live action at the same pace as children's animation. It would feel ridiculously fast. So they let everything get extended just a little bit, and they gave more time to arguments, and they gave more time to like, let's have a tender moment here with Hiccup and Astrid. Astrid, yeah. And they did stuff like that, and it felt so good because of that. Because it was appreciating what they did and saying, let's not say that we did anything wrong with the original, because we didn't. We didn't do anything wrong with the original. Let's indulge in it a little bit more. And it worked. It worked so well. The audience has been receiving the adaptation really well, which I've never really seen anybody appreciate an adaptation that was almost 1-to-1 and say that was good.
Yeah, no, it's from what I've heard, it's been a lot of people are liking it. I know there are some people that aren't, but like I'm looking forward to seeing it and forming my own opinion. I've heard it's pretty close to the original, so I really do want to see it. It's because I do love that, but it's like, yeah, I mean that's you got a source material, you follow it, you add where you can, and you enhance what's there. I think what you said is spot on. Is you take the source material, you just write it out, and then you work backwards, and you just you could okay, hey, we need to get this condensed to this. How do we do that, right? What can be chopped, what can't be, right? But in this is clear they just never had any interest in that.
I did not sense that at all in the Wheel of Time. It was jumping around so much, especially like you get to the halfway point of season 1 and it just went completely like, what? Where are you? I mean, the fact that they were doing it from the intro monologue, losing the world building, was a major red flag. But about halfway through the first season is when they're like, now we're doing our own thing with Suan and Moraine. And I was like, where are you going with this, and why, when you have so much story to tell? It is the wrong idea. I would just love to see somebody come up with a formula that works, and then spread the word, please. Spread the word. This is what we want. People don't want to watch an adaptation and go, wow, that was so different from the thing I loved.
Yes, and I don't know
what you get when you get something so different from the thing you loved.
And why is that? Why is that the thinking? Why do we think that that's okay? Why is it like, oh well, people, it's like you said before. Why is there this thought that nobody wants to see what they've already read? It's like, no, that's the point. That's what we want to see.
I want to see it with real people, or I want to see it on a screen with beautiful music that moves me emotionally in place of beautiful words.
I want to see my imagination in front of me. It's that simple. And
it's one of those things where I think that I do think that there is a place for mastering adaptation. I honestly would have expected by now that we're better at it, but I don't see the lesson being learned that an adaptation really should be faithful. And hopefully, and this is the word all over the internet, is that How to Train Your Dragon kind of proved you can be faithful and a little bit creative, and people still like it. I guarantee everyone who, if the original did not exist, if the original animation didn't exist, everybody who sees the live action, they would love it just as much as the original. It was that faithful. So
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it because it's also How to Train Your Dragon is just an interesting one all the way around because it deviates from the books so much.
yeah, but see, that's also a thing. Like if you're going to do an adaptation that deviate a lot. Do something totally.
Well, don't lie about it.
Yeah, and that too.
Yeah, don't lie about it. If you're gonna be like, look, we don't think the story works. We're gonna tell this whole other story, or just don't lie about it and go, oh well, we're adapting this book, these chapters. It's like, no, you're not. It's clear you're not. Why? What? Like, why are you lying to my face?
Yeah.
If you're not gonna do it, just be honest about it and say, look, we don't think this is gonna work. Now, of course, it would be bullshit for something like Wheel of Time, but I actually think, because I remember, when How to Train Your Dragon came out, we watched, me and my family watched it, and they liked it so much, obviously, and so we got some of the books, and trying to read.
What is this?
It was like, what the heck? And freaking Toothless is just like a regular brown run of the mill dragon. It's like, what? I don't like. No. That's weird, right? So it's just like. Yeah, it's just like if you're gonna make the change, but be honest about what you're doing. That's one of the biggest problems with this whole thing.
You couldn't take the book. You couldn't take the How to Train Your book and turn it into a movie because it's not written that way. It's not written to be like a beginning, middle, end story. So what they did was the right thing. Like, what if we just take this world that was beautiful and funny and creative and we base a story on it, and they picked a really good story, very simple story we've seen many times done before, but we've never seen it done with Vikings and dragons and with this fantastic score that I still is one of the best movie scores of all time.
And you guys are right. I know you're saying Rafe came right out and said he wanted to tell his he came right. It's like now that and he's being a lot more honest about it now about how he wanted to tell his female queer lead that it's like not sure how you get there, but in the words of show Matt Cawthon, don't piss in my mouth and tell me it's raining. Did he say that?
I think the character said that in the show.
So, this is zoomed in too far. This is Mule here. So, season 3 Easter egg nobody caught. Fade
missing the fade.
I'm gonna zoom in here a little bit. Gary McSpooks, 6'2", 180 pounds. Eyes no.
Eyes no. I like that. That's good.
Very, very good, Mule. Very good. Oh shoot. Stop sharing. Sorry. Very good. Back at
it. The thing about the Wheel of Time is like, okay, so it's been canceled now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Amazon still holds the rights. Do we see any movement from Amazon to other than this game that's coming out to keep the rights?
So all this stuff with iWatt. So iWatt has held the rights hostage. Forever basically. Anytime all this I would not, and so iWatt keeps throwing out there that they're going to make this Age of Legends trilogy, which I think was supposed to was only going to happen if Wheel of Time was successful as a show, which it's not. So I don't that trilogy is not going to happen. iWatt has a bad reputation for lying.
IPs?
Well, just holding on. Like I don't know what other IPs iWatt.
What does iWatt stand for?
It's just iWatt. It used to be Red Eagle Entertainment. They changed their name. I think there were even something before that, but under Under Red Eagle Entertainment, they made the Winter Dragon.
Is this true?
Never forget, I watched Sue Jordan's widow into oblivion for basic criticism. Yeah, they did.
They sued the widow for
They
what?
They sued Harriet. Yeah, yeah, and they own the right.
Wow. Wow.
They settled.
I wonder
I
what was
didn't
in
know
the
that. They settled. I didn't know
NDAs.
that.
I wonder what was in the NDAs for like Brandon Sanderson and like Daniel Green and some of those others.
Well,
Who were, like,
Daniel Green was like sworn to cite, he came out and said like I still don't, not defending him, but like what was it, a year or so he couldn't say anything but positive feedback for season 1 when he signed on to do the London trip for.
I kind of suspected that's what it was because I was like, there's no way someone who's this big a fan of the original would ever
Stop.
like praise it as much as he did.
Well, it's
The first season because he was more critical in the second and third for sure.
He was, but still a little bit more forgiving than I don't know. It's one of those I didn't watch. He lost me as a viewer pretty much when he started hyping the show. He made a choice to sign his name and go to London, so it's one of those. He didn't really need to do that. He's a very, very successful channel at the time. So, he made his choice. And
he's also young though. He's like a kid.
Oh,
I mean, to me, I go probably signed something, wasn't quite thinking about it.
I got really excited. Yeah.
I don't know if it was you I talked to about this or if it was Pips, but or maybe it was technically Mexican. But it was, there's another YouTuber, Hello Future Me, who is like the online authority on the Lord of the Rings, actually How to Train Your Dragon also, and Avatar The Last Airbender. I was like, oh, the three I love so much. But he was offered basically the same deal for Rings of Power and publicized the correspondence between himself and Amazon and was like, I will only do this if I'm allowed to say whatever I want, whether I like the show or not. And they withdrew the offer from him. And I was like, and he was a law student, I think, before. So he probably knew the dangers of signing on to this sort of thing and came back with a counter offer that they were not willing to do. I'm guessing that the same offer was made to Daniel Green, but him being just a kid and not having this experience in law was like, holy crap, Wheel of Time. Yes, of course. Yeah. And can you imagine being in that position? That would suck majorly. And then the only thing you can do is come out later and say, I lied all those times. I probably wouldn't come out.
It's hard. Yeah.
I'd just be like,
bad position. But it's one of those, like, that's why I've always loved I still to this day still love the fact that they live reacted to season 2, episode 8, Sanderson, Daniel, and Matt Hatch, and you can see plainly on all three of their faces,
that they didn't like it.
Did not like it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those. It's like, so it's like,
I'm sorry, guys, I tried. This is Buell.
That's Sanderson. Yeah. Yeah. So it's one of those. It's just like, Mr. Green seems to be making a lot of bad decisions, so I think he needs to take a step back and sort of, not that I'm the best person to be giving advice like that, but young, probably, you're probably right, just getting excited, but needs to take a breath before he makes some of these decisions he's making, I think. So, but I have heard of Hello Future Me. I don't think it was me I was talking to about it, but I know that is true what you said. So,
but he's got, if anybody doesn't know who he is, he's got probably the best video essays on world building on the whole internet. Go watch him. Like, he just did one on food recently, and I was so engrossed. I was like, this is the greatest video I've ever seen about food and how it's important to world building. But I think he saw what this NDA was and knew what it would mean for him and had just because of his experience with studying law. But I think they're all kids, I mean, he's a kid too. I like how he writes video essays, but I think Daniel Green also, I think he does some good stuff though. I like a lot of his videos.
Oh, I used to watch him. I just,
I haven't seen his Wheel of Time stuff really. I watched his summaries though, because when I read a book and I get to the end of it, I'll listen to his summary. There's another YouTuber also, I listen to his summaries also, because I just want to like reinforce the events. Like, okay, I want them in short. What happened in this book?
Yeah, absolutely.
It helps.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I used to watch him, but yeah, just it would just turn me off to him. But no, he did make some great video. He might still, but I don't have that. I haven't watched him in a long time, so
I bounce around. The only one I ever returned to, really, except for Hello Future Me's video essays, are a girl named Murphy Napier.
yeah,
She's
I know
like,
you're
she's cool. I feel like she would be the coolest person to hang out with, because she'd just be like, hey, there's a bright side to everything. You know?
Yeah, no, I know. I've seen some of her stuff too. So yeah, I get it. I was gonna say something, and I totally lost it.
We were talking about world building, and before that we were talking about NDAs, Brandon Sanderson. Before that we were talking about reviewing. You were talking about reviewing the show, and you said something.
Yeah, I don't know. We can move on. It's no big deal. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine. It's one of those, like, I hate when that happens. Stream brain.
It'll when you remember it, just interrupt. Just go right back.
Well, yeah. So I was looking. I have this poll up that I put in, and I'm actually a little bit surprised. It was going the way I thought it was at first, but which season let you down the most? And 68% are season 1, which is what I figured. But 14% it's season 4 because it never got made. Season 3 got 2% out of 84 so far.
What is this percentage of?
So this is I put as a poll. I put the poll question is, which season of Wheel of Time let you down the most? So
they're all so weird. How can
right,
you?
But I thought one would be overwhelming, because you watch those first 3 episodes. It shows in all the charts, right? A lot of people turned up for those first 3 episodes, and then
all came out at the same time.
Everybody disappeared. Like that there's that chart, you can see a lot of people, and then it just a steep dive, and then none of those viewers ever came back.
The first episode was, apart from Matt and the kids banging each other and Perrin having a wife, the plot at least was relatively close.
Right.
And then when they all split and went their separate ways, it sort of fell off there.
Well, it's also one of those the first lines. A lot of people, I know there's a lot of people that I've talked to that the cold open of Moraine.
We don't know if it will be a girl or a boy.
Girl or boy, and the arrogance thing. A lot of people were like, "Nope, I'm out." Right, and I know there was quite a few people that noped out on that. So I thought it was going to be one was a clear runaway just because of that. There was a lot of people that the first few episodes you saw it, and it's like, well, we know what we're going to get, and it's not Wheel of Time, or at least it's not what we expected.
Episode 3 was the one that lost me, because I was like, this was your opportunity, guys. This was your chance to make Nynaeve and Lan to give me more of their romance, which is like the easiest thing in the world to do. Let's have something that I can root for in this show. And they made it worse somehow. And I was like, this is it. It's over. It's done. The characters talk to each other like they're not even in the same room. That was the same episode where we had Rand and Matt going into, was it the Three King, whatever, it was that mining town that was all gross, and then he's flirting with the bartender girl, and I was like, why is Rand and Matt, why are they both a-holes to each other? And I had that Spaceballs reference. I'm surrounded by assholes. It's like, he's an asshole too, sir.
Yeah, and then we get our introduction to, and Matt's still stealing. He's stealing from Dead Gull, and it's just what were you rooting for? Pump and Dump, Amber?
What? You weren't rooting for Pump and Dump? Which ones? Which one do you talk about? Like, it was all so bad. None of it was good. And then the whole, so Perrin and Nynaeve are running from these wolves. That segment made me laugh. The way that it was even cut was so
Well,
funny.
I remember laughing my ass off when the Trolloc runs by Nynaeve and grabs her by the hair.
And
Just
drags her off.
I'm like, she's dead. Like it's over. And then just like what was it, episode 3?
Actually,
where
they just tossed her aside to go eat somebody else.
he decided to
Eat
go
the
eat a
Trolloc.
Trolloc. It's like
Yeah.
you're telling me a Trolloc put down a fresh human to go eat a dying Trolloc?
Yeah.
No,
No.
come on, what are we doing? And it's just like, and then we got Rambo Nynaeve, as everybody likes to call her, and doing the knifing, killing the Trolloc in the back in the pool or whatever the hell that was about. It's just like, and I like the part where Lan and Moraine found out Trollocs were coming and then went back to the inn and warned no one, prepared nothing,
and just
and
waited,
just waited for the imminent death. Well,
Yeah.
and then Moraine dies. She gets a knife, like about a
It's
sword.
like a stake right through her. No medicine for you.
She dies. It's just like straight up. Let's see. Episode 1 had about 2.1 million viewers. Season 1
Oh, ouch.
dropped about 11. Yeah. No, they never came back. Yeah, they never came back. I have a chart that I reference all the time. That just shows that Narga used a lot. That shows just the steep drop off of the viewership, and it's just all you have to do is look at it. You can see that everybody left. Everybody left immediately. I think this is it. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
Here it is.
In my review of that episode, Thumb Marilyn, it was I couldn't get over how ridiculous that scene was edited. It was so funny. Just like shot of some wolves running, some people running, shot of some wolves running, some people running, wolves running, people running, and they were never in the same shot. They were never moving in the same direction consistently. So, and I was like, there's no obstacles that they have to climb over or like a wall, like to make it interesting. Is no people running, wolves running, people running.
And then there's like the Trollocs disappear in front of Shadow Logoth. They're just there, and then they're just gone in Shadow Logoth.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's like, but here, so you can see right here. This is Wheel of Time, the start. So this is episode 1 through 3, and it just goes boom, and just goes straight down on episode 4. So the people that showed up for this disappeared, and then it just kept getting worse and worse. And then some showed back for the finale, and then what is season 2 is the blue. After that, it just never recovered. It's gone. So. Yeah,
I really do feel bad for the people who enjoyed the show. Like the people who don't, for people who read the books and then watch the show and enjoyed it, I don't understand you, but like I do feel bad for the people who loved the show, believing all of the like, oh, this is the greatest thing on Amazon ever, because they sure pumped that that's what it was. That everybody was like, oh, this is so good. People love it. It's the greatest show. It's the most popular show, which was all BS propaganda.
All lies. All lies. Like it was crazy the amount of lying that is surrounded the Wheel of Time. And I really do feel that Amazon gaslit themselves into doing the same thing with Rings of Power. I think they got this false.
I think Rings of Power is next on the chopping block. They don't have characters that are likable enough to keep that thing going.
It's one of those. It's like I think the Rings of Power is as bad as it is because they got a lot of false positive feedback from Wheel of Time. All the feedback they fed themselves is everybody's loving it. It's great. Everybody loves it. Blah blah blah. So they applied a lot of what they do in Wheel of Time to Rings of Power, and it doesn't work, and nobody likes it. And
at the very least, the one thing I can say about Rings of Power is I am seeing more consistency with the characters and what their arc is supposed to be, but that doesn't mean that there are arcs that I'm interested in or that I believe in.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. Like the best character in season 2 was Elrond, and only for some of it. And then I was like, and now we're gonna tease this romance that almost was, that wasn't, that was so, and it turns out it was a false, like we're just gonna do this to distract them. That's, oh my gosh, that was the most fan servicey BS I've ever seen. And it made me feel so uncomfortable. I was like, why can't you just leave a good character alone? And now you've had to do this and ruin it, and now I don't care about this show anymore.
It's why, like, it's gonna be one of those
I
I
don't
know.
even remember what happened in Rings of Power. I remember some
I don't
scenes,
either.
and I do not remember. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
do recall coming away from it going, at least the character arcs seem to be moving in one direction. Like in Wheel of Time, I could not tell you what their character arcs are. They don't. There's no consistency with them. But at least in Rings of Power, I can kind of see where it's going.
It's one of those
It just
like
still
the discussion is like, the direct comparison. What is worse, Rings of Power or Wheel of Time as a show? And it's I think the more and more I think about it, especially because it had 14 books to draw from, the fact that they screwed up Wheel of Time so bad, it makes it just it
Wheel of Time is worse, but Rings of Power is not a whole lot better.
no. That's not saying Rings of Power is good
No.
by any means.
It's
No,
better
not at
than
all.
it's better than the horrible thing that Wheel of Time was. It's like when I was just reviewing The Last of Us before I came in to do this live stream, and I was talking about how when you make a antagonist incompetent so that your protagonist looks competent,
Yeah.
it doesn't actually make your protagonist look competent. It just makes them look better than incompetent. And
Yes.
that's not good. That's like not somebody that you root for. It's the same thing here where with these shows where Rings of Power is not good. It's just better than Wheel of Time, which was absolutely terrible. On so many levels, it was terrible. Rings of Power is slightly better than absolutely terrible.
Yeah, maybe. It's just it's so, and how, like, it's like,
I wouldn't say even that it's worse as a TV show. How do you mean that, Cody?
well, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I just, it just boggles the mind, right? It's like, how
It's
have you
boring.
guys
Extremely boring.
how have you guys screwed this up?
I
How
think
so
Amazon is going
bad?
to can Rings of Power. They're going to have to. If they don't blow it with Fallout, I would hope that they put all their resources in that and maybe something new.
Yeah, yeah, something. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm ready to get through this hump where we're just hiring people that aren't qualified to run these shows.
Well, it's too many shows. You spread the talent
That
out
too.
too thin.
Well, yeah, the same thing going on with the CGI too, right? It's like the
Yeah.
CGI is getting worse and worse. We're going the wrong direction because people that are doing the CGI aren't qualified.
It really worries me that we may have some artistry lost, that some of these old-timey filmmakers who know the tricks of cinematography and practical effects are going to take their knowledge with them to the grave, and there'll be nobody to pass it on. Nobody will be in a position of power to say, actually, let's do this practically. We know how to do it, because no one will know how to do it. And the people who do know how to do it are not going to be in the position of power to say, let's do this practically. That makes me really sad, because when you see things done practically, it looks great. Like Andor looked great because there were so much practical effects in Andor. It looks great. So many of the scenes I'm going, they did this practically. My mother is watching Andor. Like, whenever I bring up that my mom is watching a show, that's like, this is somebody who watches like Pride and Prejudice and like The Sopranos and like has no interest in fantasy anything. But like, she watched One Piece on her own like 4 times through and loved it. She watched Andor, or is watching Andor, and loves it. Like, it takes something really special to bring her in. And for me, like, even just the fact that they're using practical effects instead of CGI wherever possible makes it look so much better. The cinematography in Andor is great. I was watching the scenes on the wheat field planet, and I'm going, this all looks so nice. There was like one scene where I was like, don't like the artificial lighting in this, but it was like, clearly they had to add this in or something, because that was the only scene that looked bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. Andor's just, we need more like that, and all around. Daniel, what's up, my man? For $10, they should have just given the show. They should have just given the show the He-Man 1987 treatment and set Wheel of Time in 2020 on modern Earth in Los Angeles. They clearly wanted the setting to be modern and have nothing to do with the books. They definitely didn't want to. Yeah. Bunch of Slack-jawed English meatballs around here. So you're saying Rings of Power is syphilis and Wheel of Time is AIDS?
Oh my gosh.
Sure.
Pretty much, yeah. That's accurate. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably accurate. Yeah. They're not. Yeah. It's not. They're not anywhere where they should be. Or It's just, yeah, I don't know how you screw it up so bad, but it's intentional, right? That's how you screwed up that bad. They did it on purpose. At least Rings of Power. Judkins has come right out and said he's telling the story he wants to tell.
Yeah.
Rings of Power, we haven't had them come out and be like Rings of Power seems to just be incompetence, which is crazy.
Yeah, especially with the budget that they have. I'm sorry, but no, you can't throw money at I really want them to learn the lesson. You can't just throw money at something and assume that the problem is going to be solved because they have enough money.
Right.
No. As a matter of fact, probably less money would produce better material.
Maybe, yeah, because you're forced to be creative and think of ways creatively to get scenes done, right? I mean, they're just I think it's probably a crutch for Rings of Power. It's definitely not helping anything. It looks terrible. Like for a show that's so expensive, it looks bad.
I will say it's pretty in its own way, but when we compare it to like Peter Jackson, which it is definitely attempting to be an offshoot of. Anybody who's like, no, it's not. It is attempting to be the offshoot of Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings. That's what this is attempting to be part of. And it does not look as good as that. You can see they're trying real hard, but it just feels flat.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a total miss. Like, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just, man.
What are you going to do?
What could have been, I guess.
What do we have to look forward to? What's coming up?
Oh, show-wise? Shoot. Yeah. Well, I know I just saw the I don't know if the it's not a show, but I just saw the Running Man trailer for the new Running Man with Glenn Powell.
Is this a sequel or a reboot?
It's a remake. So it's a remake of the Running Man. It looks like they're actually they're being smart. It seems like, at least in my opinion, they're being smart and basically ignoring Arnold's version.
Okay.
And it looks like they're following the books more closely than Arnold's version of the Running Man. So it was one of those, like, the trailer looked intriguing enough that I ended up I bought the book on Audible.
Mm-hmm.
And just listening to what I've listened to so far, you can tell the trailer is following the book a lot more closely than Arnold did. So I think it's also smart because, Arnold's Running Man is Arnold's Running Man. It's great. It's cheesy. It's great. It's fun. It is what it is. So I think it's smart to not try and put yourself up against that and do what they did, because I don't think they can remake that. I just don't think. I think it's a losing proposition. So
no, it wouldn't work. Like, you can't make Mad Max in the same way that you can't do what they did before.
Yeah.
You have to take it a little bit more seriously. I think there are very few movies from especially the 80s and 90s that had that really weird element to it that you can translate to a modern audience and it doesn't feel ridiculous.
Right.
So
otherwise, shows, I'm trying to think I'm not even sure what other shows are coming out right now.
Oh, Hail Mary, Project Hail Mary. I thought that looked like it could be good.
Oh, I'm not sure what that one is.
Okay, did you ever see The Martian with
Yes.
Okay, it's same writer, but this is like sending sixth grade teacher off to like figure out what this thing is that's destroying solar systems or something, and now it's on its way to us. Like, he's the only one who can figure it out, and then he comes across an alien life form, like intelligent alien life form, and has to communicate with it. So it looks like it could be good.
That's right.
I liked The Martian because it was funny. I don't like how the inciting incident, him being left behind on the planet, I was like, this is complete and total BS. But everything else I loved. It was one of those things where, like, I don't buy this for a second, but everything else was so good that I don't mind the movie as a whole. And
no, I'm with you there. Well, Dame does a good job.
It was intense, and I like that there was a lot of attention paid to, like, how could this actually be done in real life? Like, I don't know if you know the story of The Martian, but it was like a online story that he was publishing, like,
oh, really?
Chapter by chapter, and a bunch of real life physicists and NASA engineers and stuff were reading his story and enjoying it and giving him notes saying, you should change this to make it more realistic. And he did it. And I was like,
that's cool.
Oh,
I had no idea. Yeah, that's awesome. No, what I found funny about that was just at the same time you had Interstellar come out about the same time, and David's the astronaut in that too. So that I thought that was cool.
Did you see that in theaters?
What, Interstellar?
Interstellar? Yeah.
No, I didn't.
I saw it in theaters, I think either 2 or 3 times. I can't remember now. But the first time,
Yeah,
everyone in the audience is so shocked that there was Matt Damon because it was kept a secret that he's in the movie. And all of a sudden it's like you're 2/3 through the movie and all of a sudden there's Matt Damon. You're like, what?
Like, what? Yeah, it's like, what?
This is the guy?
Yeah, right. No, yeah, this is man. What the fuck? Oh, so what? So Alien Earth is coming out. So I'm
okay.
curious about that. I'm gonna watch it.
I feel burned out on Alien.
I
you have to do something really good for me to be like, yes, I'll go. Like, I need people to tell me this is the best Alien movie ever, like maybe even surpassing the originals, for me to be intrigued enough to go see it. You know?
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. It's one of those, I pretty much try and watch everything that's comes out. So let's see. So that's Night of the Seven Kingdoms coming out next year, apparently. Dexter is getting another resurrection show, which
wasn't I have not finished the new Dexter.
I couldn't stand it. Wait, which one?
The new one, the reboot.
The okay, so
the prequels.
The prequels. Okay, I have not the Paramount Plus one, right? You're not talking about You're not. Are you talking?
He's just learning how to do what he does.
Okay, so I haven't watched that, so I'll have to check that out. I'm talking about the one that came the one season one off on Showtime that tried to finish his story but did a terrible job. I forgot what it was called.
I've actually started with the prequel with the him learning how to do stuff because I always knew what it was and was intrigued, and I would watch like part of an episode, but for some reason couldn't finish it. But I actually watched a few episodes of this prequel series and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, is this why people like this show? Because I get it now.
Yeah, so the one I'm talking about is called Dexter New Blood. It's like a one-off. It's supposed to be after the events of the Dexter show, and I couldn't stand it. It was horrible, in my opinion.
Tron 3.
Tron 3 is coming out. Yep, Tron Ares, right? That's coming out. I'm curious about that.
I actually enjoyed the second one. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I'm like, dude,
you know what? I have
fine.
It was I don't
had
know what it is about it, but I enjoy it. Right? It's like there's something about it that I just enjoy. Right?
Yeah.
It's I'm pulling for. I wish it. Yeah. Oh man, why can't I remember his damn name now?
The actor, the main actor,
the main character, Flynn. I'm bringing for the Flynn.
To be alive. Flynn lives.
Yeah, Flynn lives. Yeah. So, but I do enjoy Tron 2. I'm with you there. I like it. Agree to disagree with people that don't like it. I don't know why, but it resonates with me. I think it looks very cool.
It certainly wasn't spectacular, but was it like worse than the original? And I'm not saying the original was bad. The original was good. I'd say like it did exactly what the original did. It was like on par with that quality of storytelling, except they've updated it and made it all cool for today's audience.
Yeah.
So it worked for me.
Yeah, no, me too. So let's see so the Harry Potter movie show's coming out.
That's this year?
I think it might be early next year. Let's see. It's not this year.
Anything that has to do with the Marvel universe or whatever, like Fantastic Four is coming out. I don't care.
Yeah, Fantastic Four.
No, I actually like the aesthetic that they're going for in that. I just don't. I can't care about that stuff. Foundation season 3, Superman.
Yeah, I haven't watched that. Superman is coming out. That's coming out real quick here, so I don't know.
Superman's first trailer really intrigued me. The second one kind of put up some warning flags for me.
I don't know.
I like Superman, so I'll give it a try. And it looks like they're trying to go for more of like a traditional Superman, but I don't know. I'm
so bummed Cavill didn't get a good real shot at being Superman. I thought Cavill was great, but
I mean, he's good. Everybody likes Cavill because he has respect for the source material.
Yeah, it's true. Daniel, thank you for being a member for 31 months. Tron 2 didn't spawn a cool arcade game. It didn't, which sucks.
I was thinking this the other day because I was playing Tron 1 in my Discord. I play movies in my Discord when we do it. Well, I do it every month. We watch a movie together, and I just stream it from my Discord. Right. And but before I start the movie, I play some other movie so people can check their sound and stuff. And I was playing Tron, and I almost just let it play and like forget movie day. I just want to watch this. Yeah. So long. There's so many other cool things that they could do other than like what is it called, the light cycles. They could do something they could do other games that they didn't do in
Yeah,
movie
there's
2. I would love to see.
there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's
They're
another one of
bringing
those imagination. What's that?
It looks like they're bringing the world of Tron into the real world though in this second one, which they kind of
Yeah,
did, or in the third one. They did it at the end of the second one, but they
yeah.
didn't like dive into it. They just said this is now possible. And so I'm curious to see what exactly they're going to do.
Yeah, it's I'm not sure, right? So it'll be interesting to see because it's supposed to be, yeah, and they get off the grid apparently and into the real world. So
They have a Predator movie and an Alien movie coming out at the same time. No, they have two Predator. They have a Predator show, Predator Badlands, and then a movie, Predator. Where did I see this? Predator
so
Killer of Killers. Like,
so I Killer of Killers was dumb in my
oh,
opinion,
it's already
but
out.
like
Okay.
yeah, it's on Hulu. It's an animated. I don't know why we can't get Predator right. Like the Predator is so cool, and we just can't get it right. Predator Badland, like
Closest was Prey, because
what's
they
that?
the Prey was
I
the
could.
closest. I know you may not have liked it, but from a writing perspective, it was closest to the tradition of the original, where you don't know
Okay.
what it is. It's come down to Earth. We
Yeah.
have to fight it and kill it so we don't all die, and
Yeah.
it's after a hunter specifically. So it told the same story. I actually thought it was a great idea. It could have been a little bit better.
I think
But
it's a great
saw-
idea. I just don't think they execute it very well. And yeah, personally, but I get what you're saying, and I agree with that. It's the most it's the closest to the original thought process and all that. But yeah, I didn't it didn't gel with me. Me and Daniel actually did a long ass video on it, I think.
Oh, really?
Way back when, yeah. That was a long time ago, eh, Daniel? That was back in the day. Holy moly. Are they officially doing a second Shogun? That would be great. Because Shogun was really good.
I still have to watch Shogun. Like I've watched several episodes of it, but I haven't watched all of it.
Shogun's very good.
I really struggle with the protagonist, the white guy. Like I don't like him.
Oh, yeah, no, I think that's I
hate
don't
that
think I don't think you're alone in that one. I forget, gosh, it's been a while, so I forget what his name, Black something.
I don't
Black.
know. I don't remember what his character name is. I have no idea what the actor is like. I just do not like the character. But I think I could get over it because I was intrigued by the other characters, especially the girl that he's clearly going to have a romance with, the translator girl.
She's great.
She's
fantastic. Yeah, she is fantastic.
Have you watched Murderbot?
I have. I actually,
one more episode left, right?
There's one more. I think there's one more episode. I don't know if it's making fun of. Like I like it.
It's so weird, isn't it?
So
it's like
weird.
I'll tell you what, Murderbot is one of those shows that I'm like, I don't think I can critique this
It's
so bizarre, like in just the tiniest ways, but it's enough that I go, I can't say this is not being done well because I think this is exactly how it's supposed to be done.
Well, it's like are they? I don't know if they're making fun of all of them or not, but it's like it doesn't really matter because they're acting the way that they would act.
Yeah.
So they're right about how these people would be acting with their throuple and how like they're all annoying. And it's just like
a little bit tongue in cheek. It has to. There's no way because they are clearly making fun of themselves in this.
Yeah.
And it works.
It does.
It works so well, especially for this robot's perspective. Like it's so quirky and fun.
Yeah.
What do you think of half-hour episodes of a continuous story?
So what do I think it sort of works for this show, but I feel like they're a little bit short. I feel like it because I don't think we're really getting the full half an hour. I think we're getting like 15 minutes because
it's like a 20-something minute episode each one.
I feel like it needs the full half hour. I feel like it needs the full half hour because like there was definitely, I think it was I don't know if it was the latest episode or episode 6 that
I don't think
felt like it was just ramping up and then it ended and it's like,
well, that's what it does that with like all of them where like something they leave you on a cliffhanger at the end of every half hour. That's if people haven't been watching Murderbot, they leave you with a cliffhanger at the end of every half hour, but each episode's only like 23 minutes or something. It's like they're assuming that there's going to be commercials, but we're all streaming this, not getting commercials. So, but the thing is, the pacing doesn't feel bad.
No. It's over. It just feels like it's over too soon. It's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, it just
You know
goes,
what? When was the last time you said that about a show? It feels like the
yeah,
episode was over too soon. Like I could have had more. I would have
right.
enjoyed more.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So that's
Daniel, for $5, I still wake up screaming at night from watching Predator Prey with you. Yeah, I know.
what?
It was a fun review. Like, I don't.
Oh, you guys were hating on it.
I couldn't stand Prey. I just, it
That's
wasn't
okay.
for
You're
me.
allowed to dislike it.
Just wasn't for me. Like, it's okay, right? It's like, I've always said, like, I even said about, I'm not the arbiter of like. If you like something, you can like it. I just express my opinion on whether I think it's good, bad, or sideways. Just because I like something, it doesn't, like. That's why
Yeah,
it's like, I'm not telling anybody they can't like whatever the hell they like. I just don't understand some of the people. It's weird because, like, for Wheel of Time, right? I don't understand how anybody likes it. For Prey, I could sort of get it. It's not for me. I sort of get where some people are coming from, but you know, not my cup of tea. So it's like, so it's like, just because I'm not telling you can't like things, that's all I'm trying to say, right? And I don't know why people, when you're negative about something or critiquing something negatively, that all of a sudden everybody goes, "Wow!" Oh, it's like, no, you can like it. I'm telling you, I don't like it, and why? Why do you like it? I would love to hear why you like this thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's
And
the thing that bothers me, is when they can't come back and say why they like it. It's just like, oh, it's good. It's like,
I
okay,
think some people just don't also don't know what to say. Like if people come into my comments and are saying stuff, like I'll say the same thing, like what you're saying. Like, dude, I'm not telling you you're not allowed to like it. I'm just pointing out the writing flaws and then expressing how I feel personally about it.
yeah,
But I think that a lot of folks who like it don't know how to just say, I don't know, I just like it. Like literally just say that. I just
yeah,
enjoy it. That's all you have to say, and like conversation over. It's unfortunate that it is a conversation ender
yeah,
because there's nothing left to say after that. Okay, you just like it, and what? You want
yeah,
to defend something that I say is wrong, and if most of the time they can't. I mean, at least on my stuff, like because I typically
yeah,
point out things that are difficult to dispute, and I want people to dispute me if I'm wrong, because
yeah,
then that enhances my argument. Like if I'm wrong and I go, oh shit, you're right, then I will adjust how I'm analyzing it. And then I go, you're right. This was actually, I did it wrong. This was the right way to analyze this situation. And then my opinion typically changes. But when it's the other way around and somebody likes it and I say, well, explain how this works, and they can't say anything, I'm like, well, then what's the point? Like,
right, yeah.
why are you commenting here? I mean, I guess to give me a comment, which I have to thank you for your comments. Comments are
Well,
good.
yeah. Well, yeah, no, I think it's the most frustrating thing with a lot of things, especially, well, like, well, the whole Wheel of Time thing for me is like, okay, well, explain to me what it is you like, and you know, nobody ever wants to get in a discussion or debate over what's good about it, and why I'm wrong with my opinion of the source material being just desecrated, and why it's bad for the property. And it's just like, if you're gonna, like, just be like, there's nothing to talk. Why are you so against me not liking it if you can't tell me why you do like it?
Yeah, but
It's like, if you like it, that's fine, but
I'm not going
don't
to
come back to
argue
me.
with people on why I like Lex, or did at one point. There's no reason why anyone should like that show, but I did. And so I'm not going to go on and be like, no, this is a good show. Like,
Everybody
stop.
likes bad
I
things.
can't.
It's okay.
I just like it. It's just so weird and
Yeah.
bad. I
Well,
just,
hey, like, people, yeah, it doesn't, but like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. You can like bad things. It doesn't matter. It's just, yeah. I don't
Suji
like the dishonesty.
asking when do we stop talking about Andor? Like, don't worry, we don't really give any. There's no spoilers. Like, you won't get any. We didn't give any spoilers in Andor, did
Yeah,
we?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so
I
you're
don't
good.
think so.
Don't worry about listening to Andor.
Yeah,
So
I don't
right,
know.
notice you put like 3 comments in there asking
Yeah,
when.
I don't know how we started off talking about Andor. I guess we were avoiding
Brought it
talking
up.
about.
I was all like,
Yeah,
excited
we
about
started
it.
talking about Andor because
It's a good in-universe story that's its own thing. That's why, and it's
yeah, I
and that
guess,
was what
yeah,
we were talking about, like with Wheel of Time. Why
yeah.
didn't they do their own thing and do it nice? Because I don't
Yeah,
think.
if they're gonna do that, why didn't they do the morning thing that you suggested or something similar? Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't arguing Amra the Australian. I like Lex too. I'm just saying, if somebody were to tell me it's trash, I wouldn't argue that. I would be like, probably just sitting quietly in my corner. So
Yeah,
right, I don't care. I still love it.
I guess we did spoil some of season 1, so sorry.
We
I didn't
did?
think
Like
about it.
what?
Well, I know we're talking about a certain
We basically
big giant contraption that they're building. Maybe that is
Oh,
their
I mean,
spoiler. I don't know. I don't know.
I kind of know that
I
already.
have trouble remembering 5 minutes ago, so I don't remember. That was so long ago. I don't remember what we were talking about.
I really don't. There's no major spoil. Look, all the best parts of Andor, we haven't spoiled anything. All we've told you is that there are 4 climaxes. You're going to climb 4 times watching that first season. Just get through the first 2 episodes, get to episode 3, and that will be the least exciting and thrilling of the 4 climaxes. And just keep that in mind going forward. So
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Yeah.
Oh, get your head out of the gutter. What did Gadfly say there? I didn't read it.
He said it's fine. It said it's fine. It is fine to like garbage media. I like quite a bit of things that are bad, but I understand that they're bad and why they are bad. Right. And that they are bad, and part of why I like it is because it's bad. Sometimes bad things have a charm to them, and it's fine.
Like Lex.
Yeah,
so bad on so many levels.
It's just, you
not liking it means you disagree with the politics, which makes you a bad person in their eyes. Yeah, I got a lot of people right now criticizing me and my critique of The Last of Us. And
Really?
I'm just like, please tell me where I'm wrong. And there are some debatable things. But the problem with The Last of Us is there's so much that's inconsistent with the theme that it's hard to even have an opinion about it. Like there's so much going on.
Because that's interesting, because I thought like season 2 was widely seen as a disappointment, like by many.
Yes.
I didn't think you had the it didn't sound like you had the differing opinion. I know I watched it and I was just like, well, it wasn't. Yeah,
no, I critiqued the first game and was comparing it to the show, and I was talking about things that the show did that I thought were worse than even the game. That was like, hey, season 1 I thought was pretty good.
Right.
But the game still did a lot of stuff better, and I'm getting a lot of flack for that, and I'm going like, how so? Like, please explain.
Yeah, that's weird.
But I mean, I think people get very attached to certain stories.
They do.
They take any criticism as like a personal criticism. Like, I'm saying you are dumb or you're bad. Like, dude, everybody likes flawed stuff because there's
exactly
perfection in this world. Like, how many of us can look at The Lord of the Rings, the king of all trilogy adaptations of fantasy, and say every single scene is perfection? Because that is not true. Just remember Frodo waking up from his being stabbed and carried across the river by Arwen, and the little montage of like faces floating through the light that we see. I would take that shit out so hard in the second time around, but it's still so good. I do not care about the bad stuff.
100%. Yeah, and like I do love the oh gosh, is it in the when Peter Jackson's talking about the fleeing when Arwen has Frodo and they're fleeing the first scene after Weathertop.
Yeah.
And they saw the makeup they put on Frodo, and he looked so bad that if you watch it, right? If you watch that, there's one scene where his makeup, he's got pus and all kinds of shit running out of his eyeballs and shit. And he just looks horrible. And they're like, we watched it back. Peter Jackson says this in interviews, like, we watched it back and he looked too good and too sick, so we had to tone it down. So you can see it. So one scene he's just it's got running all out of his face, and the next scene it's all gone, and he just looks pale. It's like, holy shit, they really did remove a whole bunch of it. It's crazy. Like, yeah, it's interesting. Next time you watch it, pay close attention.
I will. Because
you can tell the makeup changed almost immediately because they watched it back and it looked so sick.
That must have been an onset, like just looking at it on the little monitor, going, "No, not."
Yeah, it's wild. Like, because as soon as he says it, you watch it, it's like, oh fuck, yeah, there it is. Yeah, he totally changed it. It's wild. It's great. But I don't know.
People taking criticism of a story personally. I mean, this happens this happens actually in my job too. Like I try to be selective about the clients that I take on because they have to be tough enough that I know I can give them an honest critique and they're not going to get all upset and run away and whatnot. And hopefully my critiques of shows and things now that I put out for the public to view kind of give a taste. I mean, I'm not that harsh with people. I'm very kind in my critiques. But at a certain point, I stop giving them compliments on their work because that's a waste of their time. I will say, I liked this, but I'm not going to go into why. I'll just be like, this was good. This was good. Here we have a problem. We need to fix this because it doesn't do what you want it to do here. You want it to do this, but this is what I'm feeling. This character makes me hate them now in this scene. And I will say it like that to drive home a point. This isn't working. And if you get a lot of artists who are like, this is my baby, you are telling me that I raised my child wrong. Like that's how it comes across. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, you can change how you're raising your baby still. Like, it's a tough discussion, but there are people who love stories and
passion, passion, right? Yeah,
and they feel like if you're critiquing that, you're critiquing the thing that they love too. So it's
well, it's got to be hard, right? I mean, because I don't have the talent to write anything. I can barely write. Well, I don't write scripts. I just wing it on my videos. So, but like it's I can see where it's hard to take a critique, because a lot of your heart and soul is being poured into a lot of that stuff, right? So I can see where that's tough.
But I think it's more mature the writer is, and I don't mean mature like as a human being, but I mean they've got experience in writing and editing. They tend to be less sensitive to this.
But they need that, or you get stories like When in Truth. Oh, sorry.
Or you get stories like what did we have? The Wheel of Time adaptation.
Yes.
I swear there was not enough people saying this is not going to work.
Nobody said no. Nobody said like it's that is still the boggling thing to me is somehow Rafe convinced these people he liked it or even had read it. I'm not fully convinced he's read it cover to cover since he was 5 and he says his mom read it to him or whatever. So I'm not convinced he even read it himself. And then you have people like Sarah Nakamura who are supposed to be the lore experts.
But it sounds like she wasn't listened to.
Well, then what's the point? Why are you there then?
This is one of those things where you can go, well, then there was a person like Sarah Nakamura who was supposed to be an expert and she's involved in this and this is what we get. How much say did she have in what actually comes out? She could have been there like fighting tooth and nail for.
I appreciate that, but the problem is she defends almost all of it.
Is she allowed to criticize the show?
Well, I don't know, but she keeps signing on with them, so obviously, like she just signed on with IWAT, so
pretty hard to step away from a hefty paycheck like that, a consistent paycheck.
You're probably right.
Expertise? World Wheel of Time expert?
What's that?
Like, what's her expertise? What is her profession?
Well, right. So that's been her profession. She's supposed to be the lore expert and community manager for the Wheel of Time.
So
and now she's signed on. She signed on with IWAT as a similar position to do stuff for the game that's never going to come out. So it's like I understand what you're saying, but like it's one of those like I get it's one of those I guess I'll never know that question if they're offered a boatload of money and say, hey, we need you to just sit here and nod. Is that something I do? I don't know. I guess it would depend on how much money it was. So I get where you're coming from with that, but it's one of those, it seems like a more passionate defense in praising of the material and making a lot of excuses for what they've done rather than just being like, hey, they didn't listen to me. I have no power.
I think unless we're hearing it directly from these people, it's hard to make a criticism. So like Aldan, no, not this time. Remember, half the nonsense was her idea, and she's one of the I need to fix this dumbasses. Did we get interviews with her saying I don't like what they did in this thing, and I think we need to fix this so that a modern audience will like it? Stuff like that. Like, is that the kind of, because unless we have somebody saying that stuff, and they are in the creative process, not just the editing process, then it's hard to make a judgment. It's right there with like, do we blame the actors for characters being terrible? You know, how much say do they have? They can only deliver what they're given. In her case, how much of what she said was gospel in all of this? I seem to recall Rafe saying that he would send "What if I do this?" to her that was complete bullshit he wasn't even considering doing, just to send her on a panic so that she would like come back and, you know, like, I've done all this research and you can't do this because it's going to screw up this thing or whatever. I mean, that to me sounds like her opinion wasn't taken very seriously, but I don't know. I never looked up like what the stuff was going on behind scenes. I asked people, if you have proof of this, send it to me. I would like to read in their words what they said so I can make like a judgment. I do blame the writing in shows, but half the time that's me going, how did this end up like this? How is it that we have characters having conversations in scenes where it looks like they're not even looks like, it sounds like, based on the words alone, they aren't even talking to each other? How does that happen? And it, you know, who do you blame for that? The editor, the person who cut out the missing lines? Were there missing lines? Is that the writer's fault? Is it the director's fault for changing what's going to happen in a scene? Like, who's at fault? I think it's a lot of who knows.
Yeah, no, but I feel, I get where you're coming from. Sort of playing devil's advocate a little bit, but it's like if you haven't seen it, right? I get what you're saying. Like, and I don't want to go down this Sarah Nakamura. It's not worth the time or effort. But you know, it's one of those. You know, it's one of those things. It's like, well, I think who said it? It's like she was hired to be the lore protector, and she didn't protect any of the lore. So, and it's like, did you try? Okay, but you know, it's one of those. It's like, where does integrity outweigh how much money you're getting, and when is that? It's like, is that okay? Like, you know what I mean? I get, it's like, I'm not in her position, so I have no idea, right? So it's like, you know, I just can go with the things she said publicly about liking certain changes and how this enhances the story. And, you know, she's has said a few times that Moraine is written better on the show, and Swan and Moraine's relationship is better in the show than it is in the books, and some of those are improvements. It's like, you know, it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, so I don't know. It's we don't have to go down that rabbit hole because I'm not in the back room listening to her, but I just, you know, I don't know how you call yourself. It's hard to take somebody seriously that says they're the lore protector of a thing.
Yeah,
when the lore is completely fucked.
yeah, no, I'll agree with that, but then again, it always still comes back to what were they promised at the beginning of this when they signed the contract, and what were they actually given. And that's the danger with contracts, and like even in the publishing industry, for books, this has been an issue that you're told to look out for, is when the publisher says, we would like the rights to your book, and you sign all this stuff saying, hooray, great, thank you. And then they've got your book, and now they're like, we want you to change the main character. We want you to change the plot. We want you to change this scene. We want this to be added in. And you're going, I've already signed something. So how much power do I have to fight all of this? It much better to not sign anything and self-publish first.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. So I can't say too much other than responding to what she said publicly, right? So, but yeah, that's here nor there at this one. Daniel, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. So yeah, I guess we've been going for almost 3 hours here. So
how much did we actually talk about Wheel of Time?
We talked about a good chunk. I think we did. No, it's one of those we talked about a good hefty chunk. I'm
honestly so glad the show ended because I didn't want to keep reviewing it. It was such a freaking chore.
It's one of those things. It's like, it's been my bread and butter on this channel, but it's sort of like, now I got to find my new challenge, and I'll still do Wheel of Time stuff because, you know, I love it so much. obviously the source material, but it'll always be fun to go back and sort of make fun of it, I guess. Maybe when we get the next iteration, if it ever happens, like that's the big thing for me right now. This is why I want this whole save Wheel of Time thing to just end, because the sooner this ends, the sooner we can start maybe the clock of maybe somebody, letting the IP heal a little bit and try for another round is maybe an anime or something. I don't know, but
you could jump onto Rings of Power knowing that that's going to end soon, and then you won't have to be so dedicated to it.
So no, so I rode the little bit of the Rings of Power train, but I am not nearly as don't know the lore of Lord of the Rings nearly as well as I did the Rings of Power and Wheel of Time, or not Wheel of Time, freaking Lord of the Rings.
I've been reading the Silmarillion, and it is not based on that. So, like, you don't have to. It seems to me that you don't really have to know the lore to watch Rings of Power and critique it.
Yeah,
just critique it for what it is.
So I'll watch that and watch House of the Dragon season 3 when that comes out, and I'm just gonna expand a little bit, but I am glad it's done, just for the simple fact that maybe there's still hope that I can get an actual adaptation in my lifetime still, because this was like, I don't know what this was when it comes down to it, just a really bad fan fiction.
Yeah, it was a super expensive fanfic.
Yep. And it's one of those and maybe like that's the thing I've been pushing, is I would love another studio to get those rights, but to start over, to realize that, hey, somebody to get their hands on it and be like, I know what I have here. I just need somebody that actually wants to do it justice.
Well, they would have to anyway, because this Wheel of Time adaptation, their viewership dropped off so hard, which means you have set a failing foundation. Do not build upon a failing foundation. That's just going to be a disaster. So they have no choice. It's either start from scratch or do something adjacent like Maureen's story. Except please don't do Maureen's story. I've had enough of Maureen just give me a break from her. Let's talk about the Sean Chan, or let's go back into the Age of Legends or Hero, whatever. Tell me about something that we haven't seen adapted first, reignite interest in the world, and then let's go from there. You froze.
I'm probably roboting. StreamYards hates me. I don't know why. Am I still roboting?
Nope, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Aldan, thank you for being a member for 34 months. Whatever you do, we are here. I know, brother. You're always here. Dresden. Yeah, so we've been doing Dresden reviews, going through the Dresden Files book. So I'll probably be doing some more book stuff too. Carl, I'm gonna read and do some Dungeon Crawler Carl reviews. I don't know if you've read Dungeon Crawler Carl, but
I'm like 12 chapters in.
It's so good. I love it.
It's really funny. I think somebody was telling me that it feels a lot like the Iron Druid Chronicles, and I really enjoyed those. I enjoyed them because they take place here in my hometown, and they're real places. So I used to park my car right there, like when I'm reading.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
But he visits a restaurant that I used to go to all the time, and I was like, yes.
Wow, that's really awesome. That's cool.
But there's a character that's a dog that talks and is hilarious, Oberon. And he doesn't talk, but he's telepathic with the main character. And so I was like, okay, if it's anything like that, I'm interested to see what they do. That's probably my favorite stuff, is the interaction between Carl and Princess Donut. Yeah,
it's so good. It's just, yeah. I've never read anything really like it. It's such a fun read, and it just, I haven't read a book that makes me almost laugh, cry, and at the same time, and it does it a few times in later books. It's really good. But yeah, so I'll be doing some more of that. But there's plenty of media to do. I need to stop convincing myself to not do it. That's what I always have a problem with. It's like, well, should I do this or not? And then something comes up and I don't do it, and then it's too late, right? So I just need to stop doing it.
I get involved in it and I start doing it, and then I this isn't good enough. I have to do better. This isn't good enough. I got to do better. And then I have to deal with stupid copyright blocks. I have a How to Train Your Dragon video that is probably one of my best videos that I've ever done, and it's all blocked to hell. So
really,
goodbye that video, I guess.
Well,
I don't even want to work on it anymore. I'm like so sick of it.
Do you read
What is
MI
Mill
out?
Sith?
I don't know what that is. Yeah,
At Mill Science Fiction? Do I read Mill
I'm not
Science?
sure.
There must be a typo there.
Maybe.
Type it again. Say it again.
Dennis just got here, found the Sword in the Pen recently. What a great stream to get in on.
Nice. Yeah, we've been on like 3 streams now together. Well, like 4.
A few,
but 3
yeah.
here. I think 3 on this channel.
Yeah, two or three, but you know they've been fun. So I appreciate you being here.
Military
So.
sci-fi.
Oh, military.
I haven't really, but you know what's funny is the only science fiction I've ever written is a military science fiction. But like I enjoyed Battlestar Galactica.
Military. So yeah, I'm trying to think what that applies. So military sci-fi? That's not just sci-fi.
Sci-fi centered around the military, basically. I mean, from my understanding. But yeah, like I think like what was a Arrival would count as like a military sci-fi kind of, you know, like the military's in charge. What are they doing? But that's like peripherals. I'm using peripheral a lot today. It must be on my mind.
Peripheral the show?
No, the word peripheral.
Oh, okay. Because peripheral the show blow my brains out.
Oh, really? I didn't watch it.
Which, oh my god, the peripheral. Me and Zach's, we like. So the peripheral was one of the most disappointing shows I think I've ever watched.
Oh, then I'm glad I didn't watch it.
The first 3 episodes were, I think it was the first 3. First 2 were really good. And it was like, wow, this show's going to be great. And then all of a sudden,
just falls off.
From episode 3, because we decided, me and Zach's and a few other people rotating in decided to like live watch it and review it and give our thoughts as it came out. And it was like, we decided it after episode 2 because we're like hopeful it was going to be good. And we're like, wow, it's 2 episodes pretty good. Episode 3 came out. We're like, okay, that was a little weird. What, I'm not sure what happened there. And then episode 4 came out. It's just like
destroyed everything.
It was just so bad from there. It was like, oh man. So yeah, yeah. So we said peripheral. I started having flashbacks. I'm like, oh no. What's up, Krista? How are you? Starship Troopers. Okay.
I haven't read Starship Troopers. The Vorkosgan saga. I don't know if that's how you say it. I started that one. I've read like Robert A. Heinlein and some of the older military sci-fi. I'm actually reading through Foundation for the first time, even though I know what the story is. Like I know where it goes. I know what's happening and all this stuff. But because my grandmother read it and then my mom likes it. And I'm watching the show, which is a great production, by the way. Don't think of it as an adaptation because you could not adapt.
That's what I heard. Yeah, I haven't watched Foundation.
Basically, Foundation, the books, are basically people having conversations. Like, here's a conversation that these 2 characters have. And then we're going to jump ahead 10 years, and here's a conversation 2 other characters have. And then we're going to jump ahead, and here's another conversation that other characters have. You could not adapt that. So they are a bit like, what if we took the things that happen in those conversations and we made a show about that? And that's what they did. Also, yes, Lee Pace, the guy who I should have married in another life if he was straight. But, you know, things don't always turn out the way we want.
The first time I saw Lex, it was at 3 a.m. in the late 90s. And it was
So
a low budget and bad. I thought it must be an infomercial or something.
Yes, it's not that bad. It's so bad. It's like a German-Canadian collab. It's so weird. It's really bizarre.
Oh boy. Well, that's yeah. So hey, so I guess there's a lot to talk about. I just need to stopping myself. So yeah. So you know what? So you're doing Last of Us. What else is that? What you're focused on right now? Or are you doing other stuff too?
Is finishing up my game watch / critique of The Last of Us, and then I definitely want to do some stuff on Andor. Just a few things. Like I couldn't go through it episode by episode critiquing. I don't need to because I would just be pointing out like every 3 episodes there's something that I don't like. Like how bad is like that's not bad enough to do a critique on. But I can talk about things they did right and why they work. Like why do we have a protagonist for an entire season who we really don't know much about, but we still really like watching him? Like why does that work? So I thought that'd be good to dissect. But then I'm also looking at Murderbot and Foundation doing like similar stuff. I would love to do more on stuff that I like because I actually do like to watch stuff that I like.
That's the crazy thing about it, right? Because like I watch a ton of TV. I do. And there's a lot of stuff I do like, but it's just like I don't know why like the draw me going on and be like I like this and then like no it's like nobody cares to watch it. It's very weird. At least not I guess that's just the like well just in general, right? It's like cuz like for a while and maybe it is probably on me. I probably just don't do it enough. I should probably just try and I mean it's more like books like because like right now Dresden stuff we're talking about and liking it. We did some stuff on Stormlight stuff until they took a dump, but so it's like I have this in my brain that people don't want to hear from me about stuff I like, but I don't think that's actually true. I think it's just a block I put in myself because everybody thinks I hate everything, but that's probably my fault because that's what I talk about. I have strong things to say about the stuff that I don't like and why. And it's one of those like
I think my funniest videos are the ones that of shows I hate, which is unfortunate because like I actually enjoyed most of the first season of Shadow and Bone, and I wish people would like those videos more, but they just canceled the show. So I'll probably go back and do more of Avatar: The Last Airbender because that was such a mixed bag. That was like
I hated it.
There were such good intentions behind it, and I think that they managed to be faithful, but there was something missing in the pacing and the spirit, and I think it all has to do with trying to not cut anything, and that ended up biting them in the ass.
Maybe because that was another one that because I was really looking forward to it, and I'll go over season 2 and 3 because they've got greenlit for all 3 books.
I don't think they've ruined any characters or any plot lines, which I think is essential to possibly improving in the future.
I think you're probably right. Again, I'd have to watch it again, but you're right. I think there's good intention in there because the characters are all cast right, basically. The costuming is all correct. The scenery is, for the most part, correct. A lot of the things surrounding what is happening in the story is all right. It's all like not all right, but it's all correct. It's all good.
If you go back and watch it,
yeah,
there's a very telling couple of episodes. It's the one where they are in Ba Sing Se, and it's 2 episodes because they did the first episode was its own thing, the second episode was its own thing, and then they did pair episodes, and then pair episodes, and then we basically got finale,
right?
Which was also a 2-episode thing. They tried to cram too much story in those 2 middle pair episodes, and I think that was the main problem. Is they just tried to cram too much in there, and it's almost like I get it, I understand you don't want to cut anything. But the one thing that they did a couple of moments where they're like, we're going to add some stuff because we're cutting a few things. And I was like, you guys actually did a really great job with the stuff that you added in on your own. Like that was good. Like we did the funeral scene with Uncle Iroh and Zuko, which we never get in the show. And I was like, this was such a great character moment. We were seeing Iroh looking at his nephew while he's at his own son's funeral and sort of realizing this is where I need to be. I need to be here for this boy. And I was like, this is the best thing that they did in the show. So I think they've got a good team. I think that their fear of disappointing the fans is what was holding them back.
Maybe. I can't not say you're right. It's much better than the M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong version.
Yes, it is.
And Nate, you are the caves part. The caves leading to Ba Sing Se, that was definitely in my one of the worst.
Yeah, and that is one of those. That's part of that whole. We put too much into these episodes. Too much story. Trying to do too much at once. It just ask yourself, should they have cut this, and would the story still be okay without it? And I think you'll see that a lot of problems are solved when you take out a few things.
Yeah, so I'll probably watch season 1 again when season 2 is coming out because they greenlit it all the way to season 3, so we'll see. And I know like that's the like Avatar Studios, that I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that because the Aang. The continuation of Aang's story is supposed to be, I think it's a movie and a show they're supposed to be doing about Aang after Ozai fight and him
They're
becoming the Avatar. So
adults and stuff. So
yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that.
it'll be interesting for sure, especially with all the update. Like they've actually improved their animation of like
Yep.
fight scenes and stuff. So I'm like, all right, let's see some of the old gang like really moving now. Like I would love to see that. Not that the animation was bad in the original. Could you do better? If you can, fantastic. It's going to be spectacular.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. I would hope. I hope they do better because I was not a huge fan of season 1. So, but yeah. So, yeah. So anything else? But we might as well. We're hitting 3 hours. So,
Yep.
obviously, you're welcome back anytime.
Same.
You want
And
to talk about whatever?
I've got a couple. I'm trying to do live streams twice a month now. So I'll
Yeah, I've
call
seen.
you up. I'll call you up if I ever can't find someone for The Last of Us and I decide we're going to do something else.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, no. If you, if you need me for anything, just I'm a DM away. So I appreciate
Awesome.
it. So,
Well, thanks for having me.
yeah, of course. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us. And we talked a little bit of Wheel of Time, but it turned into sort of like a whatever stream, which is fine. I think
Yeah,
it
that's
was fun. Everybody have fun. Everybody was included, and I appreciate all the super chats, all the memberships. Nathan, thanks for helping out with some of the chat, so I didn't get lost. So appreciate you, buddy. And we will see you all very soon for the next one. Bye.